This podcast is a member of the Place to Be Nation family. Visit us at placetobenation.com, the only place to be in your pop culture world. You're listening to Place to Be Nation's Main Event, a roundtable experience looking at today's pro wrestling landscape. And now, here's your host, Scott Criscolo.
Place to Be Nation! We are in a new calendar year, 2018, which means it is time to look back on another year in professional wrestling. Welcome to your home for everything Squared Circle, Place to Be Nation's Main Event. I'm your co-host, Scott Criscolo. We are in a new year, and of course, the Royal Rumble upon us, just about 2.5 weeks away. Can't believe it. I'm going to be in Philly with much of Place to Be Nation. And but we're not going to talk about that tonight. We'll save that for a couple weeks. Actually, our next episode will be right before it, so we'll do a big Royal Rumble preview, and of course, we'll preview the NXT TakeOver as well. Tonight, though, we are going to look back at 2017, which was a very it was a very unusual and unique year in professional wrestling. We saw WWE go to heights. We saw some lows. We saw some other promotions move up. Some leveled out. So we're going to talk about that tonight. And then later on in the broadcast, it is this week's New Japan Pro Wrestling Classic Match Pick number 2. Our second match pick. I hope everyone enjoyed the first one about a month ago when we talked about the Okada-Shibata match from last April, which we may talk about tonight in the awards. Never know. We're going to turn back the clock a little further tonight. Probably further than Chad Campbell is comfortable with, but that's okay. We'll have some fun tonight. We'll get to that later on. First, let me bring in my co-host, greatest on the planet. He is the co-host of the Kings of Sport. He is all over PlaceToBeNation.com. And we have to, well, I have to apologize. I'm not even going to give blame on him. It's all me. Now I said 2 weeks ago that it was episode 92 of the main event. I rushed Reggie White a little further along than I should have. It was actually episode 91, otherwise known as the Kevin Green episode. But because he was in WCW, I chose to skip it. No, I'm only kidding. No, I just made a mistake. My bad. So 2 weeks ago was episode 91. Tonight is most definitely episode 92, the Reggie White episode, which brings my preacher, my man of God, the Godfather, Nate Milton.
What is going on, Brother Scotty? Yes, it is a new year. Happy New Year, my brother.
Happy New Year, sir.
I feel like, the show pulled a Steve Harvey, at the Miss Universe.
Yes.
It's been a terrible mistake, everybody. But yes, we cannot disparage the good work of Kevin Green, Cam Wake, Fletcher Cox, and other prominent number 91s.
Yes. I forgot about Fletcher Cox, yes. But it is tonight we honor the Reverend himself, one of the greatest defensive linemen in the history of the NFL, the great Reggie White, God rest his soul. It is the end of the year, brother, which means it is time for our main event, end of year awards special. Now,
I see you dressed up for the occasion.
I did. I dressed up. I have my Briscoe Brothers T-shirt, and I see you've got your stuffed Pepe, and we're in pretty good shape.
Yeah, I mean, we may not be the Golden Globes, but as a prominent celebrity said recently, a new day is on the horizon, and I think she was talking about Big E and Kofi and Xavier.
That's right. Absolutely. I think that's exactly what they meant. Of course. So, all right. So, obviously, now in past main events, I, of course, stuck to WWE here because you, of course, Nate, and our man Steve Willian, and, of course, my PIC, on Clotheslines and Headlines, handled the rest of the world. Well, everything is here. We handle everything now on Place to Be Nation's main event. So, what we're going to do is, for all of our awards, we are going to do, because there's just too many, a WWE winner and an other winner. And you and I will hammer it out, and we'll come up with awards, and we'll actually post it on PlaceToBeNation.com tonight when the show goes up. So we have some thumbs up awards and some thumbs down awards, which was your idea, Brother Nate. You wanted to bring the pain You want to bring the pain, Cole! So, by the way, I'm looking forward to our next episode as well, our first official episode of 2018, because we'll be right out of the... I just thought of Taz for some weird reason. This came in my head. That previous Monday is going to be the Raw 25.
Yes.
Which is going to be a pretty awesome episode from two venues. It's going to be from the Barclays Center in Brooklyn, and the other half is going to be from what Mean Gene Okerlund affectionately called the Toilet, which is the Manhattan Center in New York City. By the way, on a side note, my good friend Mr. Milton, did you know the food chain Carl's Jr., right?
Yes.
I think they're like part of Hardee's, aren't they? Yes, I think they are.
Yeah, they're owned by the same parent company.
Okay. Now, most I heard this morning on the radio. Most Carl's Jr.'s are West Coast. I think there's there's 1,300 in the country, and I think 8% of them are east of Oklahoma.
Yep.
Well, I found out today they're actually opening 2 Carl's Jr.'s in New York.
Wow.
One's going to be across the street from Penn Station, so right outside. I thought of this because I said the Manhattan Center. Right outside Madison Square Garden, there'll be one, and they're actually going to build one. They're going to open one in Coney Island in Brooklyn. It's kind of funky. Huh. Maybe they'll open them when Raw... No, I doubt it. Maybe they'll open them when Raw is on, but I doubt it'll take them 2 weeks to build the thing. So anyway, I just wanted to point that out. Carl's Jr. coming to the East Coast. Anyway, so in 2 weeks, not only will we recap that awesome Raw, but we will preview... the Royal Rumble and NXT TakeOver Philly, which I'll be at as well. So that'd be pretty cool. All right. Let us begin, Nate, with you want to do the worst or the best first? I'll leave it to you. What do you think, brother? What do you want to do?
I know the old saying in the old Vanessa Williams song is save the best for last, but I think let's go positive first and then let's get negative.
Oh, I love Vanessa Williams. Did she divorce... what's his name?
I have no idea.
Why can't I think of his first name? His face is in my head. Played for the Lakers.
Talking about Rick Fox?
Rick Fox.
I don't know. I think they're either divorced or split up, though, because I think Rick Fox is a well-known, like you wouldn't know it because he's a nice Canadian boy. Mm-hmm. But Rick Fox has a notorious reputation as a playboy, so I think
he has an appetite.
Caused some friction in the relationship.
You know, he was on Oz.
Yes, Rick Fox he's not a bad actor.
No, he's not. He's not, and he's got some rings for the Lakers. But I'll be sure to come back when the Lakers beat the Kings in May. I actually watched that today, and no, I wasn't. Not because I thought of you, Todd Weber, because I love you to death. But I just love that clip. Anyway, I think it would have been great. You know what I was saying to Matt Rotella today, Nate? I said that. You know how the Rock's guitar was signed by Willie Nelson? I think it would have given him extra heel heat as if the guitar was signed by Tim Donahue. And he could have done the whole Rock concert while the Lakers were taking their 173 free throws in Game 6. You know I love you, Todd Weber. All right. Let's begin with we'll start from the bottom and work up from your list, Nate. So let's start with Match of the Year. Now, WWE and other. So other is anything. Impact, Ring of Honor, New Japan. I got some idea for that, Nate. You probably have more than me. WWE, we have a lot of we have some nominees, but we can talk about it. Let's talk about Match of the Year in WWE in 2017. There were a few good ones on Raw. You know what was a really good one? That was it that number one contenders? Was it Miz? It was a couple months ago.
Yes.
It was Miz. Who was in that? Miz, not Roman. I can't think of who it is. Miz. No, I must not be striking out at me. It was Miz, because Miz won like number one contender for the title, or maybe it was for his IC belt. I'll get back to that one. Let's look at WWE. Let's go to the pay-per-views first. Let me think. I mean, the Rumble last year in... Well, let me do this. Let's open up Wikipedia and start with all the shows and see where we go and see what we can find for Match of the Year. Royal Rumble 2017. All right, here we go. We'll start with NXT, and we'll do NXT as well. So we start with NXT TakeOver San Antonio. That was the match that Bobby Roode beat Nakamura to win the NXT Championship. I would most certainly put that as a match of the year candidate. I thought that match was fantastic, actually.
Yeah, I think I remember discussing it. I think others were more of a fan of it than I was, and I think a lot of that goes to my biggest issue with Bobby Roode in NXT, which we've talked about, Scotty. And it's just like I felt he was always more of a main roster guy than an NXT guy. But I thought the match was good. I just didn't like it as much as others, I think.
No, I've always said that too, Nate, and that was a big topic we talked about all year, is that Bobby Roode had that main roster look, and NXT just almost seemed too small for him. But he was a good NXT champion, and he obviously beat Nakamura there. So that's a good. That could be a candidate for match of the year. Let's go to the Rumble. Let's see the Royal Rumble card. Obviously, Randy Orton.
I was going to say you're getting warmer because this contains one of my top candidates.
Nia and Sasha. Oh no. There's a couple of them. Obviously, Cena AJ when Cena won the. I liked it. I still think their match the year before at SummerSlam was better, but this match was exceptional. I would put that as a candidate.
Yeah, I think that this, I have a short list, and this certainly was near the top. The SummerSlam match to me is still their best match and maybe my favorite AJ match during his entire WWE run, but I thought this one was, AJ and Cena have such good chemistry, and John Cena, despite the criticism he may receive, is always one of those guys that steps his game up on the big stage. So, this to me is on that short list of best WWE matches from last year. Okay,
so we'll put that one on there as well. All right, let's go to Elimination Chamber. Let's see. I don't really see anything here. Orton Harper, Naomi Alexa, American Alpha won a turmoil match. Bray wins the... How was that Chamber? I wouldn't say that was a match of the year candidate, right?
Yeah, it didn't really stand out to me.
No, it was Bray.
It wasn't bad, but it didn't blow me away.
No, it was Bray, Cena, Miz, Corbin, AJ, and Dean, and of course Bray won, which we all knew was coming anyway. All right, let's go to Fastlane. Let's see, was there anything standing out of Fastlane? Of course, that was when Goldberg defeated Kevin Owens to win the Universal Championship to set up the match with Brock. Samoa Joe defeated Sami Zayn by submission. Yeah, that was okay. The Club beat Enzo and Cass. Sasha beat Nia. Cesaro beat Jinder. How about that, huh? Cesaro beat Jinder. Remember back when Jinder was just a middling Raw guy? Big Show beat Rusev. Neville beat Jack Gallagher. How about that reign? We'll have a lot of these choices. One pay-per-view match that was on a lot this year that had some candidates. This one may not be it. It was the first of many. Roman Reigns, Braun Strowman. This was the first one. Reigns won. It was actually Braun's first, I guess it was his first pinfall loss, I guess, right? Nobody really remembers it, though.
No.
Because everyone knows that everyone thinks his first pinfall loss is when he lost to Brock later in the year. Nothing stands out on that show for me for a match of the year candidate. TakeOver Orlando, which of course was the NXT right before WrestleMania. That was the Roode Nakamura rematch, which was very good. I don't know if it was as good as the first one. Asuka Ember Moon. Authors of Pain defeated DIY in the Revival, and of course that was the match where Ciampa turned heel on Johnny. Aleister Black and Almas, and then Sanity defeated. That was on the pre-show. Cassius Ohno, Roddy Strong, Ruby Riott, and Ty. Nothing on that show stands out.
I liked Asuka Ember Moon. It's just the finish didn't work for me.
No, I didn't like the finish either. All right, WrestleMania. WrestleMania really didn't have a match of the year candidate. Maybe the tag when the Hardys came back. That was probably could be a match of the year candidate. It was very good.
I'd say that is a. I wouldn't say it's match of the year, but it's a very good tag match.
It was a very good tag match. Really, nothing else here blows me away. AJ Shane, was not good, and it wasn't terrible, but it obviously wasn't AJ's best.
I'd forgotten all about that match, to be honest with you.
Owens, Jericho, even Vince didn't like it. As if you watch the WWE 365 with Kevin Owens, even Vince didn't like that match. Bailey's 4-way win, the Hardys, that table match is good, or the ladder match. Cena, Nick, Rollins, Triple H, it wasn't terrible, but it wasn't match of the year. Orton, Bray, maybe the LED cockroaches win best side piece of the year.
I'll say Orton, Bray, spoiler alert, that may end up on another list later.
I know. Brock Goldberg, even though it was only 445, was probably the most entertaining 445 of the year.
Yeah, I will say, I really liked both Brock Goldberg matches that they put together.
Yes. Yep.
I think that they weren't great technical spectacles, but for what they were, I thought they came off much better than could be expected.
Right. I agree. Naomi won the 6-pack SmackDown, and then the final match, Reigns Undertaker. Nothing really. Maybe the tag. But that doesn't really. I'm not totally. I don't think that's better than AJ Cena.
Nah.
Or even knocking.
Don't you know by now, Scotty? WrestleMania is not about matches; it's about moments.
It's about spectacle. All right, the next pay-per-view is Payback. I don't think there's anything in Payback that blew me away. Jericho, Owens, Aries, Neville, Hardy's, Cesaro, Sheamus, Alexa
remember
Bailey.
When Austin Aries was in this company?
I know, and his matches were actually on camera. Bray Orton in the House of Horrors. Poor Bray. Bray Orton may be spoken of a lot in the second half of this segment.
I forgot those matches were back to back.
I know, right? Rollins, Joe.
Because that was after. Didn't we have a draft in between that? And so Bray was on Raw, but they still had the match.
Yes. Yeah, that was right. Actually, yep. Rollins, Joe, and then the main event. Strowman Reigns was the main event of that show. Strowman won that one. I don't think there's anything there match of the year worthy. Not at all. How about anything from the United Kingdom special? I don't know. Wolfgang Connors, Kendrick and TJP against Maloney and Swan. Pete Dunne against Trent Seven. That was actually a pretty good match. And Tyler Bate and Mark Andrews. Nothing great there. No, I mean, good matches, but nothing.
Yeah, good, solid matches, but nothing that, to me, again, if we're setting the bar for admittance at Rude Nakamura or AJ Cena, none of those matches come close.
No, not at all. All right, next is TakeOver Chicago. That was in May 20th at Rosemont. Let's see. It was Roddy against Eric Young, Pete Dunne, Tyler Bate, which is actually an exceptional match. An exceptional match, actually. Asuka beat Nikki and Ruby. Rude beat Atami, and then the Authors of Pain beat DIY. Actually, that's the match that Ciampa turned heel. Not the one in January. Yes. That one. Yes. I'm sorry, my bad. That one. The one in May is when he turned heel. Good card. Nothing standing out there. Let's go to Backlash, which was also later in May. Oh, it was the night before. It was the next night in Rosemont. Let's see. Nakamura, Dolph. Usos, Breezango. Zane Corbin. Welcoming Committee defeated the babyface girls. No. Owens, AJ. Luke Harper, Rowan. And then Jinder Orton. I'm being good, Nate. Don't chuckle. I'm being good. These are legit awards.
We'll see if you can stick up for your man.
I know. Legit awards here. Next, we'll go to Extreme Rules, which was in June in Baltimore. Let's see. Ms. Ambrose. Swan and Sasha against Alicia Fox and Noam Dar. No. Alexa Bailey, Cesaro, Sheamus, Hardys in a cage. Neville, Aries. And then Joe beat Bray, Finn, Reigns, and Rollins by technical submission in a number one contenders Extreme Rules match for the Universal title. That was good, but not match of the year worthy. So nothing on that show blows me away. And then we'll go to Money in the Bank, which was June 18th in St. Louis. Let's see. Carmella won the Money in the Bank ladder match. New Day beat the Usos. Naomi, Lana.
That was a good match, but they have better further on into the year.
Yes. Jinder Orton, Breezango, Ascension, and then the main event was Corbin winning that Money in the Bank ladder match. That ladder match was good, even though Corbin won. That ladder match was pretty good.
This whole segment should be called "Remember When," because remember when Baron Corbin was our Money in the Bank winner?
Yeah, exactly. He actually had a rocket pack strapped to him. Unfortunately, had no gas in it. Next, we had Great Balls of Fire, which was in Dallas, July 9th. That was memorable because it was the weekend of Dan McGinn's wedding. Speaking of Great Balls of Fire. That were extinguished. All right. Bray Rollins, Cass Enzo. How about the Cesaro Sheamus Hardy's Iron Man, that 30-minute. That was pretty good.
Yeah, that was a good match.
That was a good match. Probably not match of the year, but that was good.
Those two teams had good chemistry. I think the problem was by the time we got to that match, like isolated, it's a good match, but in real time, I was just tired of the feud at that point.
Yeah, I was too. I agree. Sasha, Alexa, Miz again, Miz, Ambrose, Braun Roman, the ambulance match. That was pretty good. Heath, Kurt, and then Brock and Joe, which was also good, even though it was only 6.5 minutes. Is that the best Braun Roman match? The ambulance match? It was really good. I wouldn't say it's better than AJ Cena.
No, I like their matches. I like their chemistry together. I think there's room for a lot of different styles on a show, especially when you talk about these 3-hour Raws and these 4-hour pay-per-views. Like there's room for a lot of variety. I don't know if this was their best, but I certainly enjoyed it.
Yeah, I liked it a lot. I don't know if I'll put that in here though, because AJ, like you said, Nate, AJ Cena and Rude Knock are pretty high on the bar, so it's gonna have to really, we're gonna have to really be blown away here. All right, then there was Battleground, which was in Philly, which is when I remember that's when the Rumble tickets went on sale, I think. Let's see, New Day Usos. That was good, but it wasn't as good as the one they have the next month. Knock Corbin. Natty won that 5-way. Owens, AJ. Before we continue on, what do you think Owens and AJ's problem was, Nate? Because you would have thought that they would have had good chemistry because Owens has a certain style, and AJ, obviously like Shawn, can wrestle a fucking napkin and be fine. Why didn't they work, you think? Because that's one of the, if we want to talk about something kind of weird in 2017, the fact that they wrestled and didn't work kind of stuns me. What do you think?
And I don't know. I think part of it might be the storyline. I was never really into their story. And then that certainly detracted from the match. Like, the matches were never bad. Like, I think it'd be impossible for them to have a bad match.
Right.
But they never elevated past, the level of, okay, this is just another good match on a show full of, fair to middling matches. Like, you rarely get a bad match these days in the WWE. So it's like this, you just got a lot of good matches that never really elevate past that level. And this is one of them. And I don't know if it's the styles, no pun intended, between the two men, or if it's just the fact that if this were happening in New Japan, these two matching up, or in ROH, these two going together, would we see a different pace? Would we see a different style? I don't know. Like, for whatever reason, it just didn't click. And I had the same feeling when AJ wrestled Jericho. Mm-hmm. And I thought those matches were good, but not what they could have been. And at first I was thinking, it's because Jericho is an old man. But going by what we recently saw with him and Kenny Omega, Jericho can still go. So I don't know why those Jericho AJ matches didn't click, and I don't know why the Owens AJ matches really didn't click for me.
I think you were talking about storyline, and I have to say, maybe because we all knew that it was just pieces for Shane. Maybe in the back of our minds we're like, they're just pawns in a bigger storyline game. And I think that kind of irked people, so maybe that kind of put blinders on them, maybe. I don't know. Sammy and Mike Kanellis. Cena Rusev, the flag match wasn't bad. And then, of course, the Punjabi prison match, which was the first match that didn't have a guy that either was on steroids or had liver problems. And it didn't matter either way. All right, let's move on now to TakeOver Brooklyn 3. Let's see. Almas defeated Johnny. Sanity defeated Authors of Pain. They won the titles in an upset. Aleister Black beat Atami, which I thought was pretty good.
Yeah.
Asuka beat Ember Moon. And then the main event, Drew McIntyre beat Bobby Roode to win the NXT title, which was good, but not great. So I don't think anything on that show was a blowaway. Now, SummerSlam. There were a couple of nominees for me for Match of the Year at SummerSlam. Not The Miz and The Miz Taraj against the Hardys. Neville against Tozawa was good. But I'll tell you something. Even though it was on the pre-show, so if you didn't watch the pre-show, you didn't watch it, and I was in the arena for this, the Usos New Day match there,
yes,
it was a crime that it was not on the main show. Because that match was fantastic. I highly, if anybody hasn't seen it, it's on the network. You got to put it on the pre-show, though. It's not on the actual SummerSlam show. The match is awesome.
Yeah, that's one that was on my short list too, because there were a few Uso New Day matches that were really, really good, and so it was kind of like trying to pick the best hit out of the greatest hits. And so for me, just kind of representing not only this match by itself, but also the feud, I had this one on my short list.
Yeah. Let's leave it there. I know some people may think it's not Cena AJ, but I want to talk about it, so we'll leave it on the list. Cena Corbin, no. Natalya Naomi, no. Cash Show, no. Orton Rusev, no. Sasha Alexa, it wasn't bad. Demon Finn Bray, ugh. I wanted that match to be good, and it wasn't. Dean and let me tell you something. This match, Dean and Rollins against the Bar, that match was fantastic too. Actually, I'd like to put that on the short list, Nate.
I'm in agreement with that. I think those two matches were really, to me, the best parts of that show.
Yeah, they really were. We had AJ Owens again, which again was good but not great. Jinder and Shinsuke, we'll leave that there so nobody beats the crap out of me. And then the four-way we might have to put on the list. Brock, Roman, Joe, and Strowman was awesome because that was just four blunt force objects just literally punching each other in the face for 21 minutes.
Yeah. I see, now it's funny because in the moment and shortly thereafter, I thought SummerSlam was a good show, but I didn't think it was a really great show. But looking back, like, you got three really good matches that are Match of the Year candidates. But I think the issue with SummerSlam is these three matches are spread across a 4, 5, 6 hour time period.
Yeah, I know. It's crazy, right? So we've got like three candidates from this show alone for Match of the Year. And it might be the first time in WWE history that a pre-show match deserves Match of the Year votes. Because I tell you, that Usos New Day match was unreal.
Yep.
The pacing of it was fantastic. It was really, really good. And then the other both tag title matches were tremendous. And then Rollins and Ambrose against Cesaro and Sheamus. And then the main event, the four-way, Brock, Roman, Joe, and Strowman was just four blunt force objects just hitting each. As Duke said to Rocky and Rocky Balboa about what to do with Mason Dixon, blunt force trauma. And that's exactly what that match was, blunt force trauma. So we're going to put those three on there. Next was the Mae Young Classic, which is a great tournament, but obviously nothing there. No Mercy, which was September 24th in L.A. Let's see. Miz Jason Jordan, no. Finn Bray, no. The rematch between Ambrose Rollins and the Bar, no. It was great, but it didn't reach the levels of their first match.
Yeah.
Alexa, the five-way. Let me ask you a question, Nate. Have you noticed? Let's break for a second. Have you noticed, as I've been reading off these matches, that there was a zillion of the women's matches that were not one-on-one?
Yeah, and I think particularly when you look at Raw, and this is no slight to Alexa because I think she is one of the best women on the roster, particularly from a character standpoint. But what's the old line with Lloyd Benson and Dan Quayle is like, Senator, I knew Jack Kennedy and you're no Jack Kennedy.
Uh-huh.
It's like Alexa, I knew Charlotte Flair on Raw and you're no Charlotte Flair. Like, I think taking Charlotte out while it was good for SmackDown, it left a void, and we couldn't have those one-on-ones that we had like the year prior where we had Charlotte and Sasha or Charlotte and Bayley, because Charlotte, to me, was a more effective heel in ring than Alexa is.
Right. Yeah, because I just noticed that. I'm reading all these matches. I'm like, my God, the Raw side, there was like 7 multi-women matches, and there were a lot on SmackDown, too. Roman Cena. What'd you think of that match? Again, just to recap, I know we talked about it on the show, but I mean, it was good. I wouldn't say match of the year, but it was good.
Yeah, I was gonna say both men have had better matches, but for a matchup between the two quote unquote franchises of this company, you know, the past/current and the current/future, I thought it was a good match.
It was good, but not like these others. Enzo Neville, no. And Brock Braun was good, but not at the match of the year level. So there we go there. All right, let's go to Hell in a Cell, which was October 8th in Detroit. Let's see. We've got Usos New Day again. Also, this was in the Cell and did not meet the levels that their SummerSlam match did.
Yeah.
Orton Rusev, Corbin defeated AJ and Ty, Charlotte and Natalya, Jinder Knock. Yep. Should Knock have won there?
I mean, in my world,
you would have had him win at SummerSlam. So
yeah, I was gonna say in my world, this scenario is never
it never happens anyway.
It never happens anyway. But like I think I probably would have put the belt on Knock, but then again, I understand because Knock, as we talked about all last year, Scotty, Knock, while not being quote-unquote buried, he certainly felt diminished for most of the year.
Yeah, he did. I think you're going to see a change in that this year, though. I do see that changing. Bobby Roode Ziggler, and then the main event, Owens and Shane in the Cell, which was nice, but not match of the year. All right. TLC, which was October 22nd in Minneapolis. I don't remember anything really great here. Asuka Emma, Cedric and Swan beat Jack Gallagher and the Brian Kendrick. Alexa Mickey was good. Enzo Kalisto. Finn AJ. Interesting.
Finn AJ was good, but I think just because it was like a one-off, it to me, like technically everything was great, but there was no story behind it. Well, and so, like, I think that detracted from it was a really good match, like a really good to almost near great match, but without the story, it just, it didn't have the weight that I think it could have had.
Well, if you get on my back, they will wrestle again, and they will have a story behind them in New Orleans. More on that in the coming weeks. Jason Jordan defeated Elias, and then the TLC with Kurt and all them, and the whole Kane thing, and that kind of that match just aggravated me with all the Kane nonsense. All right, Takeover War Games, which is of course the Takeover in Houston right before Survivor Series. Let's see, Ruby Riott, Sonya, and then they went their separate ways. Pete Dunne, Johnny Gargano, Lars Sullivan defeated Cassius Ohno. Lars Sullivan defeated Cassius Ohno. Aleister Black defeated Velveteen Dream, which was a very good match, but I wouldn't put it.
That was a surprisingly good match.
Yeah,
doesn't make the list, but no. A really good match.
Yep. Ember Moon won the 4-way to finally win her NXT Women's title. Good for her. Of course, the big upset, Cien Elmas defeated Drew McIntyre to become NXT champion. And then the Undisputed defeated the Authors of Pain and Sanity in the War Games match, which we won't get into that because that was not War Games, it was Faux Games. We had no gap between the two rings. We had shark cages. Jesus Christ, come on. Watch the friggin' Blu-ray, guys. Come on. You're supposed to have a match where somebody gets their neck broken on a bad power Oh, never mind. Sorry, Brian Pillman. Survivor Series. I already know one match that's easily, I think, a candidate. Obviously, we had the Shield against the New Day, which was very good. Team Raw, Team SmackDown Women, which was Corbin Miz, Usos Bar, was good. Charlotte Alexa, good. Brock AJ.
Yes.
I think we got to put it on the list.
Yeah, really, really good match. Like I got a little worried at the beginning of the match. I think we talked about this just because of all the selling AJ was doing. But once AJ started to get some offense and the match kind of moved into the second stages, from there it was one of my favorite matches of the year.
Yeah, it was for me too. And I think it was because we wanted to see AJ make the comeback, and the comeback was awesome. Of course, Brock won, but that, again, AJ's at that level, losses do nothing. So, and then of course, Team Raw defeated Team SmackDown. Why? Because it was awesome. And
because of your boy.
That's right. In fact, we're not talking anymore. It's done. We're moving up to the next topic. We're moving on to the next subject. Well, how would I even not put this? No, I'm only kidding. And then, of course, the last pay-per-view of the year, Clash of Champions. I don't see anything really earth-shattering here. Dolph, Corbin, Rude was good. Usos, New Day again. With Gable and Shelton, and then Rusev and Aiden English, which was a good match.
Yeah.
Charlotte and Natalya, the Bludgeon Brothers, Breezango, Owens and Zayn against Orton and Knock, And then AJ Jinder, All right. I think Raw had some good matches, but I don't think they match anything we've seen so far here. So, here's what we got. We've got Rude Knock from the first NXT TakeOver, San Antonio. We've got AJ and Cena from the Rumble. We have 3 matches from SummerSlam. Usos, New Day, Rollins, Ambrose versus The Bar, and then the 4-way for the Universal title. We have AJ and AJ Brock from Survivor Series. I don't believe I'm missing any. No. Right? Nothing from the other NXTs? No.
I think first of all we gotta give a tip of the cap to SummerSlam, because that, in retrospect, that show was better than I remembered at the time.
It is. We don't have Show of the Year as one of our awards, but if we did, I mean, Great Balls of Fire was good, but I gotta say, SummerSlam actually clocks in at one of the best shows of the year, probably top to bottom. You know, but I mean, Cena AJ right now seems to be the standard bearer, and any of the other matches have to beat that. And
yeah, that to me, because even with Brock AJ, like, as much as I love the match, I knew AJ wasn't winning that match. Whereas with Cena AJ, like, I think they're so evenly matched, and like, you never know. Like, they seem to have a good deal of respect for AJ, and obviously he's the champion right now, so they're behind AJ. But also, you know how much they love Big Match Johnny. So even in that one, I didn't know, who was going to come out on top with that one. So I think the suspense between, who was going to win, and also the chemistry that these guys have. I think this match, while not as good as the SummerSlam match from a year before, I think this is probably still my favorite WWE match of the year.
Okay. I love the 4-way at SummerSlam with Brock and Braun and the blunt force objects. That Usos New Day match is so good, but I can't see a pre-show match. I mean, they just got boned because they were kicked off the roster, the main show, which I thought was a crime. Yeah, I don't think anything comes close. Not comes close, but I don't think anything can surpass it. So I'm going to roll with you, Nate. So Place to Be Nation's main event, 2017 match of the year, WWE match of the year, AJ Styles versus John Cena for the WWE Championship from the Royal Rumble in San Antonio.
Yeah, unfortunately, AJ and Cena couldn't be here, so Bray Wyatt's going to accept the award on their behalf.
Bray Wyatt and the LED cockroaches. How do we get the LED floor, Nate? My God, would you take some of the Kings of Sport budget? What'd you do here? My God, this looks great.
Hey, now that Keep It 2000's on the way back, I got a little bit more money in the pocket.
That's right. But Virgil's dead, so the fuck money ran out. So there's nothing left of that either. And if you don't know what we're talking about, listen to the Christmas special this year.
Yes.
All right, match. Now I'm going to need your help here. Match of the year elsewhere. Now, obviously, I watched for our project or for our special segment. I did watch Okada and Shibata from Sakura Genesis. That match is outrageous. Anything else? What about Okada and And Okada and Kenny fought, twice, right? They fought at Wrestle Kingdom back in January.
They fought 3 times. They fought at Wrestle Kingdom, they fought at Dominion, and they had a match during the G1.
During the G1. That one I forgot Dominion. I know they wrestled at the Kingdom, and I know they wrestled during the tournament.
And I think all 3 of those matches are like any one of those could rightfully qualify as a match of the year candidate.
That Okada Shibata match was really, really good.
Yeah.
Anything? I can't believe I'm about to say this. Anything in Impact?
Unfortunately not. Like, there were some good matches on Impact, but if we're already starting off the list with Okada Omega,
I know, really.
Like to get into the clubhouse, you have to have.
Yeah, that's true.
You got to be pretty great.
Yeah, you got to have a platinum card.
At that level.
Yeah, you got to have a platinum card.
I think did Ring of Honor have anything?
When Steve comes on later, Steve Wille will be joining us later in the show. We'll ask him. We can amend some of these awards when Steve comes on, and definitely when Chad comes on right before Chad Campbell joining us tonight, of course, as well. Obviously, it's our New Japan segment, and we can kind of amend our awards there. But why don't we you watch them, Nate? Of the 3, all right. Let me ask you this: was Okada Shibata better than any of the Okada Kennys?
I mean, it's a good match, but we talked about some of the issues I had with it the last time.
Yep.
And I think though that issue, like the big sticking point of the headbutt spot, to me that kind of, while it's a really good match, a really, really good match, I don't think as a viewer, like it's not something I want to watch again.
Okay.
Whereas with Omega and Okada, I could pop in any one of these right now and be entertained.
Okay. So I'm gonna put the ball in your court then. Of the 3, Wrestle Kingdom, Dominion, and the G1 match, what was the best one?
Wrestle Kingdom was the biggest stage. I think Dominion, I might have liked that match more, but and the G1 match is really good too. Like the G1 match, I think gets overlooked because it happened in the midst of the tournament.
Right.
Like in any other year, like any of those matches could be match of the year. But I think just given the stage and given, how it kind of kicked the year off, letting you know that Okada was going to be a force to be reckoned with, I'm going to give it to the Wrestle Kingdom match from back in January.
Okay. I had a feeling you're going to go with that. So, all right. So our match of the year is for non-WWE is Okada and Kenny Omega from Wrestle Kingdom 10? Was it 10 last year? Yes. I believe it was 10 last year. I'm probably wrong.
I think it might be 9.
Okay, Wrestle Kingdom 9.
You're not good with numbers.
Yeah, I know. Really, I'm not. I'm gonna start thinking episode 93 is Mark Mosley. So never mind.
But yeah, I think and to even give more credit to this match, as much as I love Cena AJ, to me nothing touched Okada and Omega. Any of those 3 matches in my opinion this year.
Okay, so our WWE match of the year: AJ Styles versus John Cena from the Royal Rumble, and our other match of the year: Okada versus Kenny Omega from Wrestle Kingdom. All right, most improved. All right, most improved wrestler. We'll start with WWE. Who was most improved from 2016 to 2017?
I think this one, even though there's a couple candidates, I think to me the 2 that stand out, and I'd be interested to know how you feel, Scotty.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just talking guys now because I think Alexa Bliss is also in this category.
Yep.
But just in terms of guys, I think the 2 that stand out the most to me are Braun Strowman and your boy Jinder Mahal.
Let me make sure I don't have any liquor in my coffee. Oh, make sure I put Harvey's Bristol Cream. Well, Jinder, the bar was very low, so Braun is a great choice. He may have to be the guy. Because remember, everybody made fun of Braun in 2016. He was fat. He was saddled with another member of the Wyatt family.
Yep.
The beginning of 2017, when he was his own guy on Raw, and he got in shape, and he had that match. He had that match with with Roman at Fastlane, which was kind of the jump start for him.
Yeah.
I like that choice. I'm gonna go with that. I don't think there's anybody else. Yeah, I like that choice.
It's equal parts his work and the way he's improved, but also the way the company has positioned him.
Yeah, I think so too.
Like they're not asking him to go out here and have 30-minute matches. They're allowing him, like you said in that match, the 4-way to go out there and just deliver blunt force trauma and to do these big power spots and even some of the segments like we saw on Raw this week with the grappling hook. Like they're allowing him to feel larger than life, and he's been given the ball and he's running with it. So yeah, to me, like I was never on the Braun Strowman bandwagon at the beginning. Even at the beginning of last year, I still had my reservations, but like there's no doubt he's one of the top guys in the company now.
Yeah, and I think from almost obscurity to where we are now, yeah, I got to go with that. So our WWE comeback wrestler of the year, most improved, goes to Braun Strowman. Elsewhere, again, this is out of my purview, so I'll leave this one up to you. Anybody step up for you in any of the other promotions from 2016 to 2017?
You know what? I might actually have to give a tip of the cap to Impact here.
Well, anything's an improvement, I guess.
Because a guy to me that really stepped up, he always had an entertaining mid-card character, but last year I feel, he not only improved on his character, but his in-ring got better. Like, it's still not great, but it's better than it was, and that is Eli Drake.
Okay, I'm gonna go with that one because I'm curious Steve Willie's take on that one too. So, all right, so the most improved wrestler in WWE, Braun Strowman. Most improved wrestler elsewhere, Eli Drake in Impact Wrestling. All right, best announcer, WWE. Honestly, the only guy I could legitimately think of is probably Corey Graves. I mean, is there anybody else?
See, now this is where I like that we have this category because it allows me to say some things about Corey Graves.
Well, I see.
I really like Corey Graves, and I might not like him as much as some of the other hardcore fans might, but I think I have two big issues with Corey Graves. The first one is I think he's overexposed.
I agree with that. He reminds me of Renee Young. Renee Young's overexposed too.
Like I think Corey Graves is really good. He's the best announcer on Raw by a country mile. But I think having him on SmackDown and also doing a bulk of those shows on the network, to me, Corey Graves is a bit overexposed. But also, I don't like the way that he and Cole are instructed. I'm assuming to work with Booker. Because I think the bickering works if it's the two announcers, Graves and Booker arguing, and Cole kind of being the adult in the room, so to speak.
Right.
But I feel like too often they pile on Booker, and it's to the detriment of the commentary. I like Corey Graves, but he's not my favorite. To me, I might have to go off board a bit here in the WWE and go with my man Nigel.
I was thinking Nigel, too. I think Nigel does very good on NXT. I think he's solid. Very solid. That's a tough one. I would lean towards Nigel. I would go with your thinking there. I mean, I like Corey, but
I was say, like if you go with Graves, I won't be angry about it. But I just think, like, to me, I really like Graves, but there's something about him, and maybe it's the phenomenon when everybody kind of likes something. It becomes less cool. True. And I think, I just like Nigel a bit more with the NXT stuff.
We're going to have, you know what we're going to do, Nate? I'm going to write down. Sorry, I'm walking away from the mic. I'm going to write down both guys' names, and we'll see if Steve or Chad want to break the tie. Because I'm going to stick with Corey. You stick with Nigel. We'll see what the guys do in the next segment. So we'll do that. We'll have a tiebreaker.
Maybe we'll get off the board Byron Saxton.
Yeah, and then we'll hang up on them and go back to Nigel.
Didn't Otunga call a few shows last year?
Oh, good grief! Like you said, that's like saying Mark Madden's good at something. All right, Elsewhere, I gotta say, and I actually watched a few episodes and some matches. I gotta go with our own PTB's Kevin Kelly doing New Japan. I think he's really good. Yeah. I think he's the best.
I think Kevin Kelly is really good. I like him and Callis. I think Kevin Kelly is really good. I will say though, not that this guy is great by any stretch, but I ragged on this dude all of 2016. So when improvement is shown, I have to give credit where credit is due. And Josh Matthews didn't annoy me as much this year.
I am not giving you Josh Matthews. Sorry, you're lucky.
No, and I don't want to take him. I just want to give him credit for being an improved announcer. But to me,
okay.
Kevin Kelly, in terms of guys outside of the WWE, and it's not just because we love Kevin Kelly, but he's doing good work with New Japan.
Yeah, I'm not going that far. We're gonna go with Kevin Kelly. Congrats, Kev. We love you, and he likes me and doesn't like Justin, so works for me. No, I'm only kidding. Nah, Kevin Kelly for New Japan, definitely. Even though, I listen. Obviously, JR and what's his face? What's his name? Barnett? Is that his name?
Well, Josh Barnett.
Josh Barnett did the Jericho Kenny match, and they're good, but I think JR is like, I don't know. I think JR might be at the end of the line, to be honest with you.
Like JR can still what made Jim Ross so great back in the day was he had like all of the knowledge, but he also had all of the emotion and the passion and stuff. And I think now he's still got the passion, but the knowledge base. And we saw this during the women's classic, the Mae Young Classic.
Mm-hmm.
Like Jim Ross, to me, like the passion was still there for wrestling, but the knowledge base wasn't there, and that kind of detracted a bit from his announcing.
No, I agree with you on that. All right, you put best angle or gimmick. We'll start with WWE. Oh. I have to say, as much as it annoyed people at Fastlane, the rebirth of Goldberg. Being an ostracized after leaving in 2004. I was at the Garden at WrestleMania 20. It was not pretty. And and to come back from that, to squash Brock at the Survivor Series, squash Kevin Owens at Fastlane, and then have a pretty solid 5-minute match with Brock at WrestleMania. Now he's back in everybody's good graces. He's kind of a folk hero now. He's a legit legend. Probably going to the Hall of Fame. Well, definitely going to the Hall of Fame. It just depends on when. So I got to go with the rebirth of Goldberg, or the redemption of Goldberg, I guess, as my storyline for the year.
That's not a bad one at all. I think Goldberg is certainly a contender. I really have liked a lot of what The Miz did last year.
Mm-hmm.
I think, The Miz Taraj, Axel and Dallas aren't main eventers. They're barely mid-carders, but The Miz has revitalized their career to whatever extent it's been revitalized. I really like The Miz Taraj. And this might have been for all the wrong reasons, but I love that Miz TV with LeVar Ball.
Yes. Well, that's because it was a train wreck.
That might be my single favorite segment of the year for WWE for all the wrong reasons.
Yeah.
Goldberg was great. I thought The Miz was really good this year, and continues to be. Like this, I'd say the last two or 3 years of The Miz have been the best of his career. You know what? I think I just kind of talking through it. To me, The Miz and Maurice versus John and Nikki.
Oh, you know what? That actually was pretty good.
That was pretty good.
Them making fun of Total Bellas and Miz, and Miz pretty much being John Cena, which is probably what he really is, was actually good. All right, I'm going to put that. Let's put both of those, and let's see what the guys in the next segment say. So
because they had that great segment on SmackDown where they did the Total Bellas, and then, I think it might have been on the Go Home show.
Yep.
And then at the end, Miz just kind of takes off all the Cena stuff and gets really serious at the end of the promo. I really enjoyed that.
I did too. All right, we'll put those two then. So our two finalists for best angle or gimmick, the redemption of Goldberg and the Miz Maurice versus the power couple storyline, I guess we can call it. All right. This one I'm going to need your help on. Best storyline or gimmick elsewhere in the world.
Now this is an interesting one. I think just trying to remember, and I know ROH had the Hardys, the mini invasion, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
Of the Broken Hardys, which I enjoyed. Impact had. Let's see, what did Impact have? Impact had a lot last year.
Yeah, I know.
We had the Jeff Jarrett stuff. We had the Bruce Pritchard stuff. We had Alberto Del Rio. I don't know how much of that was good. Oh, you know what? Impact did have the American Top Team invasion, so to speak, with Dan Lambert. I thought that was some really good stuff. And then I guess also in Ring of Honor, a lot of the Bullet Club stuff was good too.
Yes, the Bullet Club stuff was good. All right, so we'll put those two then. The what was it? The American Top
Team with Dan Lambert and Impact.
Okay, and then the ROH stuff with I just blanked. What did you say again?
Bullet Club.
And
Cody.
Yes, Cody arrived. All right. Best non-wrestling performer.
In any other year, I think this could be called the Paul Heyman Award. But for me, and I know it's going to sound crazy, you know what? I don't have to sound crazy because I can just split my vote. So let's in WWE. I think I'm going to go with Paul Heyman, even though I want to give an honorable mention to LeVar Ball, just because LeVar Ball.
I am not giving that schlub anything, even though
LeVar Ball,
his kid plays on my team.
I don't even like LeVar Ball, but that segment just hit all the wrong notes for me, and
so bad.
Just the dumb way he ran to the ring, and he's taking off his shirt like this. This man is an idiot, and he is right at home in professional wrestling.
He is, which is kind of sad. Best non-wrestling performer. I'm going to put. I like Paul. I want to give a vote to Maurice.
That's not a bad vote at all.
She was great as Miz's side piece.
Yeah.
You're gonna laugh. I might want to give. I know no one will go for this, but I'm just saying it anyway. I might give a vote to the Singh brothers. Come on, they did their job.
Hey, they were good. They were good for what they were asked to do.
Yep.
You know what? I've got one that might seem a little odd, but technically he is a non-wrestler. How about Daniel Bryan?
Daniel Bryan was exceptional in his role as GM. Exceptional. I like Daniel. Well, non-wrestling role, obviously Triple H. No, I'm only kidding. I don't think he was even on TV enough. All right, why don't we do Daniel Bryan, Paul Heyman, and Maurice?
Yeah, especially and I love Kurt Angle, but if you compare what Daniel Bryan's doing to what Kurt Angle's doing, it's no contest.
Yeah, no, I agree. And same thing with Shane. So,
yeah.
All right. Elsewhere?
And this is where I got a little bit ahead of myself because I was so excited about getting to my hot Impact take. It's crazy, 2 categories in a row. But I really enjoyed Dan Lambert. I had no idea that this guy was going to be this good.
Okay. All right. So we have Maurice, Paul Heyman, and Daniel Bryan. And then Dan Lambert from Impact. All right. So there's... Okay. All right. Female Wrestler of the Year. I've got 2.
Besides Nia Jax.
I bet. Well, that's your award. She's your non-wrestling performer. Oh. For me, it's 2, and you probably agree with me. I don't know who's better because they're both good at specific things, but I have to say, at least for WWE, a tie between Alexa Bliss and Asuka.
Yep. Yeah, because to me, Charlotte had a down year, Sasha had a down year, Bayley, they dropped the ball on Bayley. So yeah, it just depends with this one. I guess what do you value more? Because Alexa has had the best character, but Asuka, has had the better in-ring. Like, to me, though, those series of matches with Ember are still some of my favorite from last year.
Yeah, I agree. Who do you give the edge to?
This might be a shocker because I love me some Asuka, but I think just being an all-around performer, because she's improved in the ring, I might have to give it to Alexa.
I'm going to give it to Alexa too, only because I think Asuka's going to be 2018's theme. When we're here in a year, Nate, doing it, I think Asuka's going to be 2018's female wrestler of the year. But because Alexa came out of nowhere, we knew Asuka's Asuka, but Alexa, I think, came out of nowhere and became that good. So I say we give the edge to. You can even argue that Alexa's most improved too. You know?
Yeah, she's up there.
All right. So WWE Female Wrestler of the Year is Asuka. Is Alexa Bliss. Elsewhere. Any knockouts? Any knockouts stand out to you?
I'd say, because to me, like, there's a couple of women, like, on the independents that have done really good work this year. Like, Lufisto's been really good. Mercedes Martinez, who we saw in the Mae Young Classic, has been really good. But the problem with them are they don't get the TV time, and when you see them, it's just matches. Like, there's no angles, there's not really a lot of character work that they're given. So I think, we have to look to Ring of Honor, the Women of Honor, and then Impact. And I think Ring of Honor's probably had the better matches. But as far as character goes, I think I might have to say my favorite women's wrestler that is not in the WWE, it might be Rosemary from TNA.
Okay, I'll give you that one. Rosemary from TNA. We'll put her down.
Plus, she deserves something after Sexy Star broke a damn arm.
Oh, right, huh? I just realized. I forgot about that. That's right. All right, so our best female wrestlers of the year, WWE, Alexa Bliss, and non-WWE, Rosemary. All right, and finally, on the good character, best male wrestler of the year. WWE... I don't think it. I mean,
you can't say gender.
I know I can't, because I know you're going to say his name in a moment. I mean, is anybody right? Is anybody better than AJ right now?
Nope. He's Chris Kanyon right now. Who's better than Kanyon?
Who better than Styles? All right, yeah, I think it's a no-brainer. I mean, every match is at least 3.5 stars.
Yeah. Here's how good AJ was. Now, I don't want to spoil our top 100. But let's just say halfway through the year, AJ Styles probably would not have been in my top 100, mainly due to longevity. But the second half of the year locked it up for me. Like, I'm not going to tell you where he landed, but he's in my top 100, primarily based on his work last year.
Wow. Okay. All right. And we're going to do our we'll get more into that later in the show, but Nate and I are going to announce our top 100 on the show in spurts, in blocks of 10. All right, so our main event, WWE Wrestler of the Year, is AJ Styles. Elsewhere, we got a lot of candidates. Obviously, Okada.
Yeah.
Kenny.
Yeah. I think you can make an
argument. Cody.
I was gonna say Cody to me hasn't had the in ring, but in terms of character, Cody might have been the best non-WWE character of the year.
Yeah. Is it Kenny? Is it Okada? Is it why am I blanking? Who's the IWGP IC champ?
Now I'm blanking.
he wrestled what's his face at Wrestle Kingdom? With the long hair. Why am I blanking? I want to say Hashimoto, but that's not right.
Somebody's screaming at the.
I know. Well, it's probably Chad. Damn it. Well, right now let's look at Okada. And Tanahashi.
Yeah.
He belongs there. And Christopher Daniels had a great year in Ring of Honor. He's champion for a while.
Yeah.
Is it Kenny?
I'm going to give you the same reasoning you gave me with Asuka. I don't think it's Kenny because I think it's going to be Kenny the next time we do this. So for me, if just going on last year, I got to go with Okada just because Okada had the 3 matches with Kenny. And then like it seemed like every match Okada was in was a big time match. Like he was to New Japan, I think what AJ was to the WWE.
Okay.
Like I think Kenny will be there next year, especially coming off of the match with Jericho. But if we're just looking at 2017, to me, yeah, I'm thinking I might have to give a slight edge. And this is no disrespect to Omega or even Cody, because I think Cody's got a strong case as well.
I think he does too.
But I might have to give the slight edge to Okada.
Okay. So here's our final picks. Now, due to the length of the segment, I didn't think the segment was going to go this long. We're going to hold off, and maybe on next show we'll do the worst awards.
Yeah, let's just stay positive this week.
Let's stay positive this week because then Chad's going to get negative in our New Japan segment. So.
we go from Canyon to a positively page here.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, we will. Maybe on the next show, maybe you and I, Nate, will talk about it offline, and then in 2 weeks on the next show we'll quickly give you our worst. So here's what we got so far, and we're going to have some tiebreakers in the next segment. Match of the year. Now, we have one for W and one for other. So match of the year for WWE, John Cena, AJ Styles from the Royal Rumble. Elsewhere, Okada and Omega from Wrestle Kingdom back in January. Most improved wrestler, WWE, Braun Strowman, other Eli Drake. Best announcer, we're going to choose between either Nigel McGuinness and Corey Graves in WWE, and we both like Kevin Kelly in New Japan. Best angle or gimmick, we have Goldberg or The Miz in WWE, and then in other we had what? The
American Top Team in Impact.
In Impact. Best non-wrestling performer, we have a 3-way tie between Maurice, Paul Heyman, Daniel Bryan, and then Dan Lambert. Female Wrestler of the Year, WWE, Alexa Bliss, other, Rosemary. And Male Wrestler of the Year, WWE, AJ Styles, other, Mr. Okada. All right. Why don't we take a break here on Main Event? When we return, we will be joined by Steve Wille and Chad Campbell, and we will talk about this week's and look back at this week's New Japan Pro Wrestling Classic Match Pick number 2. And I'm going to make Chad love this match. That's my goal, Nate. You got to help me. We're going to make Chad love this match. Maybe not as good as the one he picked for the first one, or the one that Steve picked for the first one, but close enough. Myself and Brother Nate will return in a moment. Main Event.
Promotional consideration paid for by the following.
Hey, pro wrestling announcer Kevin Kelly here. I want to make sure you are all subscribed to all the great feeds here at Place to Be Nation. It's really easy to do. Just head to iTunes or your preferred podcatcher app today and search and subscribe to the Place to Be Nation wrestling feed, which of course includes the full archives of the Kevin Kelly Show, the Place to Be Nation pod feed, and the Pro Wrestling Only feed. Subscribe, listen, and then rate us and leave feedback today. And be sure to give Justin your true thoughts. I mean, don't hold back. After all, he is kind of a jerk. Just listen to Scott.
Place to Be Nation's JT Rosero and Chad Campbell here. We want to let you know that we have a ton of great podcasts available to you on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, and PlayStation.com, and we offer those to you on 3 great feeds. On the Place to Be Nation Wrestling feed, we bring you the Mothership, the original Place to Be podcast, as well as Main Event, Lucha Afterground, and our monthly pay-per-view reaction shows, as well as the Our Vantage Point podcast and Jeff Learns Wrestling. In addition to these full-length shows, we also deliver quick-hit pod blasts on topics old and new.
Over on the Pro Wrestling Only feed, we dive deep inside the wrestling business with a stacked army of experts leading the way. The feed features potpourri shows such as This Week in Wrestling, Greetings from Allentown, Psychology is Dead, Puro Potpourri, Stacy and Elliot's Bogus Journey, and the Military Industrial Suplex. We also have shows that focus intently on certain topics like Letters from Center Stage, Space City, and NWA Classics on Demand Adventure, Through the Years, Strong Style History, Strong Style Story, and Mount Olympus. Plus, the feed has the full archives of legendary shows like Titans of Wrestling, Where the Big Boys Play, Letters from Kayfabe, and much more. And on our popular Place to Be Nation Pop podcast feed, we offer such great shows as the Glenn Butler Podcast Hour Spectacular, Rank and File, PTBN Dadcast, Go Home in a Box, NBA Team, and Lucha Undead, as well as a veritable podcast heaven for comics fans with the Hard Traveling Fanboys, Sellers Points, Todd Weber's Conversation, Geek and Sassy, and Imaginary Stories podcasts.
You can find all of these current shows plus archives of our past podcasts, including The Kevin Kelly Show, as well by subscribing to all of our feeds on iTunes, and while there, be sure to rate and leave feedback as well. All of these shows, plus others available on PlaceToBeNation.com, where we cover pro wrestling, sports, movies, comics, plus in-depth stretch projects and more. Be sure to support our site by using PlaceToBeNation.com/Amazon when shopping online, and download our free PTB Vintage Vault Refresh ebooks via the links on our site. We also want to thank our friends at Bonehead's Wing Bar in West Warwick, Rhode Island, and Fall River, Massachusetts, TheHistoryOfWrestling.com, and Scott Keats' Blog of Doom. Be sure to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Tumblr as well. PlaceToBeNation.com, the only place to be in your pop culture world.
And welcome back, Place to Be Nation, to episode 92 of the main event. Scott Criscolo. The Godfather, Nate Milton, had to exit. He had to take care of some business. Everything's fine, but Nate had to leave. So I always thank my co-host, and he'll be back in 2 weeks. But I have these two gentlemen because it is time for our second installment of our New Japan Pro Wrestling Classic Match Pick. And let me bring in my two gentlemen. First off, the conscience of Place to Be Nation. He was going to join us in the first segment, but he also had a work commitment, but he's here now, Mr. Steve Wille.
Oh, yeah, my work commitment made me unconscious.
Are you embracing hate like they tried to have John Cena do in this fucking trash match at the 2012 Rumble that we have on in the background? Embrace the hate, Steve Wille, because you are our John Cena, you know.
Always a pleasure to be on.
Yes.
And I believe this is the actual Reggie White episode.
This is, yes. We talked about in segment one that we screw the pooch. That was I totally take the blame for that. I screwed the pooch on that and skipped the Kevin Green numbered episode. Since this is the New Japan segment, let me bring in our other guest. He is a Core 4 veteran as always, and one of the main reasons that that we created this special segment is because I get to talk to him more on any show here at PlaceToBeNation.com, and that is the great Chad Campbell. Hi, Chad.
Hello, 2018. We have arrived.
We have arrived. Could you believe it, Chad? It's amazing. The site's going to be 5 years old in June.
Yeah, when I saw that me and Justin had been Facebook friends for 5 years, and that was right after the episode y'all did, Starrcade 88, so that was
oh yeah,
it was kind of weird that it had been 5 years since we really started talking on a daily basis.
I know, right? And that's insane. And I mean, obviously JR and I are coming up on our 7-year anniversary of the Place to Be podcast, which is even more mind-blowing. But anyway, gentlemen, always a pleasure. Before we get to our match pick, we need your help. As we all know, in segment one, we did our 2017 year-end awards. I'll tell you guys what we chose. We didn't do the worst because the segment was running long, and we wanted to have you guys on for the New Japan match. So we're gonna do our worst awards off air, and then announce them in 2 weeks. But this is what we had, and I'm curious your guys' thoughts. All right, so match of the year. We did. By the way, I split it into two. We did a WWE pick, and then we did an other pick, because trying to do one with everything is just ridiculous. So we did a WWE pick, and we did an other pick for everything. All right? Match of the year, your guys' thoughts. WWE, AJ Styles, John Cena, Royal Rumble. Steve, thumbs up?
Yeah, that thumbs up. That was my match of the year for WWE.
We had a bunch of different choices. We had Rude and Knock from the night before. We had the three great matches from SummerSlam. Even the pre-show match of the Usos against New Day, which I was blown away by, and I saw that live. What else? The other tag match, Rollins and Ambrose against not the club. What do I always call it? The Bar. And then the main event, the four-way with Brock and Roman and Braun and Joe just bludgeoning each other. And then AJ and Brock at Survivor Series was our other pick. Chad, what do you think of the Rumble match? Match of the year WWE?
That is my match of the year WWE as well.
Okay. The other, I let it in Chad's hands. In Nate's hands. Obviously, the one match I did watch was the one we did for match pick number 1, which is Okada and Shibata from Sakura Genesis. Nate, guys, thought it was easily one of the three matches between Okada and Kenny, whether it was Wrestle Kingdom, Dominion, or the one during the G1. I let him pick. He picked Wrestle Kingdom from last January as the non-WWE match of the year. Chad, do you agree with that?
I mean, I think that'll win the Meltzer match of the year. My favorite of the three easily is the G1 match.
Okay.
On my overall match of the year rankings worldwide, I have the Sakura Genesis Shibata Okada match is my number 1 overall.
Oh, okay.
I have Cena versus AJ number 3, but then I have the G1 Okada versus Omega number 4. So, pretty close there.
Okay. Steve, what do you think?
As we talked about during the first one, like I can go back and forth in Shibata and Okada. I liked it more than I thought I was. I thought I was going to be completely turned off on it. I have kind of a sleeper pick. That it was a great match, and it was my favorite match. And that is, I don't think anyone's going to pick this ever, but it was Naito versus Ibushi, and from night 1 of the G1 Climax. I just loved everything about it. Ibushi is one of my favorite wrestlers all around, and we've documented on Mission Impossible some of his older stuff in DDT, but I thought that it was a great build for the first night, and it just came to a nice crescendo, and the best part was when Don Callis lost his voice. Not that I have anything much against Don Callis, I kind of liked him, but I was a little biased with our guy Kevin just taking over the booth by himself and getting wrapped up in the motion. And it was like the combination of the crowd loving Ibushi and having him back in a big role, Kevin getting carried away with it, and then it was just great action. So that was my favorite match of the year. There's just so many. It was a pretty good year for wrestling.
Yeah. So that was our pick. So we had those two matches. Our most improved wrestler, for WWE, we chose Braun Strowman. Anybody else? Maybe? I mean, that seemed pretty obvious, we thought. Maybe there were others, but that's
I can't think of anyone else that comes to mind.
From 16 to 17. And then, I put the ball in his court for the other, and he took Eli Drake.
I just don't think I've watched enough Impact to notice. I remember how turned off I was to him originally, but I trust Nate. He watches it.
Do you have another most improved, Chad?
This will be a real obscure choice. He's a guy of Dragon Gate, and unfortunately his career may be over, but his name is Takahiro Yamamura. He was a young lion. He's only 25 years old. Started, I think, right at the tail end of 2015, but throughout 2016, he was on the lower end of their rookie class, and they have a really strong rookie class. And then in 2017, he was given some opportunities and really flourished. Had a couple of signature singles matches and was working well with tags. So it was really unfortunate he got injured because he was on quite a roll and getting over with the crowd. So he'd be my pick as most improved.
Okay. Best announcer. We have a tie for WWE. For other, we both took Kevin Kelly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's
I'm defending my pace, please. I mean, because I've watched two major New Japan matches this year. I'll admit it, just two. But one was obviously our first match pick, Okada and Shibata, which Kevin and Callis did. And I watched Kenny and Jericho with JR and what's his face? Barnett. Right? Josh Barnett.
Yeah. Yep.
And maybe that's why, Chad, and I know we talked about in the chat why I know everybody is gushing over the Kenny and Jericho match, but I think it was them that made me not like it as much as others.
Maybe.
So that's why I thought Kevin and Callis were fantastic during the Okada Shibata match. And I think Kevin has settled in to New Japan very well. So that's why we took him. For WWE, we had a tie. Corey Graves or Nigel. What do you think, Steve?
Ooh.
He didn't want to go with Corey Graves. He took Nigel. I took Corey. That's why we have a split.
Yeah, I was expecting you to say Mauro. If I have to vote for one of the two, because I don't think I listened the first time you asked me the question.
Right.
It was off a little bit my own way. I would go with Nigel. I think for me, I know a lot of people are really high on Corey Graves. I almost think he's overexposed at this point, being on every show.
He said the same thing. That's why Nate wouldn't pick him. He said the same thing. He thinks he's overexposed. Like the male Renee Young.
We have not released the first part of that, so I have not heard anything or talked to Nate.
No, you didn't. No. Nope.
I've always liked Nigel. I do have a soft spot for him. He's one of my favorite wrestlers of all time, so I'm glad to see him get this opportunity, especially with all the garbage that he's gone through in life and wrestling. So yeah, I will break that tie and say Nigel.
Okay, so Nigel. So that is our main event announcer of the year, Nigel McGinnis. What do you think, Chad?
See, I would actually go Corey Graves because he's so versatile. So
wow.
Be in a tie again.
Oh my God! All right, we'll keep it a tie then. We'll keep it a tie.
Yeah.
We'll keep it a tie. So Nigel McGinnis and Corey Graves co-win the main event's WWE announcer of the year. Best angle or gimmick. Now for non-WWE, Nate went with the whole Dan Lambert storyline in Impact with the
America's Top Team.
For WWE, we had a tie. Nate picked The Miz, just in general, just his character, the way he was, he's been elevated to this Hollywood guy with Maurice and the Miztourage. I went with the vindication of Goldberg from the Survivor Series to WrestleMania 33. Because he went from a guy because I was at, and I said this in the first segment, I was at WrestleMania 20 when him and Brock got fucking destroyed out of the building. I thought it felt special for him to kind of vindicate himself. And then kind of watching the WWE 24, I feel like that's how they were going anyway. So there's the tie. Goldberg or The Miz for best angle/gimmick in WWE. Chad? Or do you have another one you think?
I think I'm on. I don't like agreeing with you this much, Scott, but I think I'm on lean towards Goldberg too. I just thought they were really smart with their handling of him. Like they didn't try to do too much. All of his appearances had an impact. They're memorable. It's been about a year. It's been over a year since the first Brock match. It's been a year since the Royal Rumble, and 10 months since his WrestleMania match, and I can remember all those, plus the Kevin Owens quickie, very vividly, and I thought that was a nice, redemption moment for Goldberg to come back, to still be over, have his kid watch him wrestle, whatever sentimental value he held, and felt like a big-time program, him and Brock.
Okay. What do you think, Steve?
I will go with Goldberg. I was kind of leaning towards Owens and Jericho as a different one, but a lot of that took place in 2016.
Yeah, that's pretty good too.
It was more the blow up happened at the beginning of 2017. So, Yeah, I can go with Goldberg. I didn't think I was going to enjoy that as much as I did, but he put a ton of work in, and it was actually some of it was really touching to see how he connected with the kids in the crowd. Obviously with his son too was very, very touching, but like to see how serious he took it, both physically in shape and emotionally, how much he took it. And you don't see that kind of real emotion in wrestling that much these days.
I agree. Now, the last two we were unanimous on, but I wanted your guys' thoughts anyway. Best female wrestler of the year. Non-WWE, Nate thought we should go with Rosemary in Impact. WWE Wrestler of the Year, we were talking about it, but we were tied between Asuka and Alexa Bliss. But we gave the nod to Alexa because we knew Asuka was good. So we both thought that Alexa, kind of coming out of nowhere, she could have easily won Comeback too, or Most Improved. She came out of nowhere and literally usurped Charlotte as maybe the most entertaining female heel in the company. So our female wrestler of the year in WWE was Alexa. What do you think, Steve? Thumbs up, thumbs down?
I'm fine with that. Yeah, I can see that. I would have probably picked Asuka just because she's a personal favorite. She's probably my favorite performer in the WWE, bar none.
I agree.
Male or female.
She's my personal favorite too. That's why I love Asuka too for the same reason.
Yeah, but I have no qualms with Alexa. Just like you said, when you saw her in NXT, she seemed pretty good, but not to the level that she's gotten to now, where she's got a pretty good character. And we knew she has athletics. She's got a gymnastics background, but to be able to fit in as being like 5 foot tall at the most,
right?
And yeah, that's a good pick.
Okay.
And that's something I would have thought of originally, but yeah, I can go with that.
Okay, Chad, any thoughts?
Yeah, I no beef with that. Again, probably maybe slightly would go Asuka 1, Alexa 2, but they're pretty close. So that's really a testament to Alexa and how much she grew in the year.
And it's interesting how much of if you think about how much of a step back that division took this year.
Right.
Yeah, I wouldn't think it's a particularly strong year for somebody like Becky Lynch or Sasha Banks compared to 2015-16 for either of them two.
Yeah, and obviously we've talked about Bayley.
Bayley
in the past year as well. So that's been a step back for her.
Yeah, the division. Something happened with the division when they did kind of the reshuffling. And I said this at the end of 2016. I think there was almost a bigger detriment than a benefit to having that multi-month-long Charlotte-Sasha feud because it alienated the rest of the roster. And then when Charlotte left, or when they moved her, the company was left with nothing. Or that show was left with kind of nothing. And almost Alexa may have saved, to a certain extent, Raw. The Raw women's roster, but now Asuka's there, so I think things are looking good for 2018. All right, and finally, the best male wrestler. WWE, obviously, it was pretty much a no-brainer. We both went with AJ. I don't think there's really anybody else. Anybody else you could think of, Chad? Even close?
I do want to give a honorable mention to, I thought Roman Reigns did have a many good matches throughout the year, and also I would say Cesaro, I thought was really solid throughout the year, and also Braun. Besides the Brock Lesnar match, I was very sporadic in my WWE viewing, but of the guys I watched, I thought he sort of jumped off the screen just as much. And even this year, like AJ, he would be my number one, but I really didn't like the Owens matches that much, and so it's kind of even a little bit of a weird year for him too, where I thought the Owens matches were good, but not great.
Okay. Steve?
AJ's definitely my number one, probably for 2 years in a row now. Also, we can't forget about John Cena too. He had a couple pretty decent matches as well, but just not around enough to take that title of a best wrestler.
True. Okay.
He's kind of settled into a nice little spot for him where he can come in and work a couple big matches and then take off again.
Yeah.
Okay. And for non-WWE Wrestler of the Year or other, obviously there's a boatload of choices. Before we give our choice, what Nate and I chose, who are yours? And then we'll see if we agree. Steve, who's your other male wrestler of the year?
I would say Kenny Omega 1 and Okada 1A. And the only reason, and I was glad I was listening to the new Post Wrestling with Pollock and Weinting and Nate as well. And I was glad to hear this because it kind of matched up with my feelings. So I think that Okada was the better in-ring performer this year. The fact that Omega was such a big part of both New Japan's success in America and Ring of Honor success in America, those shows that he was on was such a huge lift to their attendance, like to the point where the place that they stayed in Chicago since the very beginning of Ring of Honor, they actually had to go to a bigger building just because of his presence. And that was the only difference in the people that they brought in. And then, plus all the Hot Topic shirts and stuff like that. You can say that the Bucks are part of that too. But if you're looking at one guy, I would say Omega and then Okada directly right under him.
Okay. Chad, who's your non-WWE Wrestler of the Year, male wrestler?
My non-WWE Wrestler of the Year is Zack Sabre Jr. I thought he, in 2017, worked a variety of different roles in a variety of different promotions and excelled at all of it. Absolutely great matches in PWG. Had the Chuck Taylor title change, which was an emotional moment. He ended up winning the title in Evolve from Timothy Thatcher in a great match. Worked some great matches in New Japan, and then was kind of, just popping up here and there in different spots, whether it's in the UK or in other US indies, like AAW and whatnot. So a really well-rounded year, and I thought he kind of took up the mantle that left when Chris Hero went back into the WWE. Just sort of your touring indie, pencil him in for a very good match, no matter what the opponent is or where he's wrestling type worker. So really an exceptional year. Between the Omega Okada debate, I go Okada ahead of Omega for that. Just generally, I guess less goofiness. I mean, Omega in his big matches will perform at a real high level, but on the spot shows and stuff in New Japan, he's taking it easy, which is not that much of a fault, but it's just not a stylistic style that really appeals to me. And then also I thought some of his grandiose matches I enjoyed a lot. I did think he dribbled a little bit in excess with some of them, such as the Ishii series. So that's why I'd give Okada the nod there.
Okay.
Chad bearing me. No, just kidding.
Well,
actually, I'm glad you said Zack Sabre Jr. because I would say he's my favorite wrestler of the year. And he even went in and did well with Chikara with the, basically half crippled Mike Quackenbush at this point in two good matches. And got to meet him at the AAW show, and a really cool, nice guy, too.
Well, as everyone knows here on the main event last summer, and this is me having no fucking clue about any of these guys at that moment, I actually picked Zack Sabre Jr. to win the G1 Climax. And he hung around for a little bit early on in the points.
Darn good.
He hung around a little bit early, but I know he's really young. And I'm going to ask that question to you guys in a minute, but Nate and I did go with Okada. We did go with Okada as our non-WWE Wrestler of the Year. But Kenny was in the discussion. Kenny was in the discussion, obviously.
And again, I think it'll be interesting. I mean, I think it'll be between Okada is going to win the Thesz Flair Award for Meltzer's year-end awards, which is like box office, everything all-encompassing. Mm-hmm. It'll be interesting if he wins Most Outstanding. I mean, I think it'll either be him or Omega. So we'll see who ends up winning that one. But
Right.
that could be a really tight race.
Yeah.
But it'll be one of those two.
Okay.
Pencil it in now.
All right. I know this is far out because obviously it doesn't start till August, but both you guys, Nate and I didn't talk about this, so who is an early choice to win this year's G1 Climax? Like, who'll be the hot guy going into August this year? Or do they not book it that way?
Well, yeah, they don't. I mean, they don't really book it that way to a degree. I think in the past 2 years, you've seen the G1 as a way with 2016 of Omega to elevate him up, and then with 2017 to reheat Naito up. It's a very safe choice, but just right now for me, I would actually go with Okada because if you are one to believe, like I know we talked on our first thing about, like I said on that show, I mean, I thought Naito was going to beat Okada at the Tokyo Dome. And right after we recorded, I watched the very last shows of New Japan in 2017, and just the way they booked that, where Naito stood tall at the end of those shows and stuff like that, it was kind of like in the old WWE booking, where if one guy really stands tall on the go-home show, the other guy's probably going to win at the pay-per-view.
Right.
So that kind of iterated some thought into my brain that maybe Okada would retain at Wrestle Kingdom. So Okada did end up retaining at Wrestle Kingdom, much to Twitter melting down for a few minutes there. But so and then it kind of came out where Meltzer was talking about how they want to present Okada as like an Inoki-like figure, where he's more than just like the ace that gets a good year-long run with the title. He's going to be like an iconic, when you think of New Japan Pro Wrestling 50 years down the line, you think of Inoki. So he'll be like a Hogan, like a Bruno, that type of stature. That's what they're trying to build, and with that comes a lot of dominance, and maybe a G1 win. He hasn't won since 2014. If he's still the IWGP champion, the IWGP champion hasn't won the G1 since 2000 when Sasaki won. So that would be interesting. I do think there's a shot. There may be some outsiders. That's always a big rumor. And that'd be fun if there was some outsiders like Miyahara from All Japan. But we'll see. We're a long ways away, so we'll see if there's any rumors and inklings heading into the actual tournament.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of Wrestle Kingdom 12. By the way, it's 12. Nate and I we couldn't remember the number that just happened, but it was 12. We were saying 10. We were off by a couple years. Wrestle Kingdom 12, which took place last week. The reason I'm bringing it up, guys, is because it seemed like let me go through the results real quick. In the New Japan Rumble, which was the pre-show, it was won by it was won by Masahito. You're gonna kill me, Chad. Wait, let me Kakahara.
Yes.
Yes.
So he's a old shoot style wrestler. Had cancer. And so he doesn't really work anymore. So they did a shoot style show a few months back called Kaki Ride, where he faced Fujiwara, who's like 67 years old, in like a 5-minute exhibition match.
Okay.
So he did that, and then he did the Rumble, but he didn't really do nothing. He doesn't bump or anything. But this was just a feel good moment of him coming out, beating cancer, and then winning the Rambo. They don't. The booking for the Rambo means nothing. Like a few years ago, Ghetto's tag partner Jado, he won because he came out to the ring with a female actress, and they were wanting to promote the movie that she had coming out. So that's why he won the Rambo, just so she could promote her movie. So it's kind of a nothing match.
Oh, okay. Among those,
and they wanted.
Oh, go ahead, Steve. I'm sorry.
Sorry, Scott. And they also wanted to promote Takayama's cancer charity.
Yes,
correct?
yes, the Takayama Mania. Yoshihiro Takayama is also going through cancer. In addition to his stroke, he's in really bad shape. Probably won't walk again, was the last I heard. So that helped kind of promote that too and create awareness there.
Ah, okay. The other, and I could tell by the names in this that it was kind of almost an exhibition among the names. Bushi, Chase Owens, Cheeseburger, David Finley, Delirious, El Desperado, Gino Gambino. I like that name. Hiroshi
is so terrible.
I think I might be
so bad.
I think I'm going to tell I'm going to tell D'Amato that's the name he should leave at the hotel at the Rumble. Gino Gambino. Hiroyoshi Tenzan, Liger, Katsuya Kitamura, Leo Tonga, Manabu Nakanishi.
You're doing good.
I'm doing good. Satoshi
Which
Kojima.
you know who Manabu Nakanishi is, right?
Shit, Steve, whisper to me. Who's Nakanishi?
It's a big hoss.
Nate, where are you, Nakanishi? I don't know. Who's Nakanishi? Is it what's his name? No, let me get.
Was in WCW. A member of the stud stable, Kurosawa.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I just saw a pic. The minute you said that, I clicked a picture. He's fucking gigantic now. He's also 50, but...
Oh, yeah, and he's about as immobile as a cocky
as he was when he was in... As he was when he was in the stud stable.
he does not have cancer, but he is really limber, not limber on the...
he doesn't have a good excuse.
Yes.
Satoshi Kojima, Taka Michinoku, there we go. Tiger Mask, Toa, not the Tiger Mask, obviously. Toa Hinare, Yoshihashi, he was in the tournament. Yoshinobu Kanemaru.
Kanemaru, yeah.
Maru, sorry, yes, that's an R. Yuji Nagata and Yujiro Takahashi. So that was like the pre-show match. The Young Bucks won the junior heavyweight tag team titles. They defeated is it Roppongi or Roppongi?
Roppongi
3K. Chaos won the gauntlet match for the never open weight 6-man tag team titles. Ibushi defeated Cody. How was that match, Chad?
Really good. Shockingly good. I mean, Cody, I think, like with Cody, the way he's presented himself and booked himself since he left WWE is admirable. Most of his matches I thought have kind of topped out in the good range. Mm-hmm. This one I thought really was knocking on being a great match. A lot of people have ranked it as a great match. I have no major beef with that. I think it definitely a contention for Cody Rhodes' best singles match ever. Like, I don't really know of another contender that's coming to mind right offhand.
Okay.
It was really strong. Brandy he really did a heel character and actually got a real good reaction, him and Brandy. Brandy was great as his manager. And then Ibushi's so sympathetic and also so freaking crazy. So Ibushi did the crossroads from the apron, from the ring apron to the floor, right on top of his head. Just a nutty spot. So it was a great match.
Okay. Los Ignorables de... How do they pronounce it?
De Japón.
De Japón are your IWGP Tag Team Champions. They beat the Killer Elite Squad. Hiroki Goto defeated Minoru Suzuki to win the Never Openweight Championship in a... What the fuck does this mean? Hair versus hair and no seconds death match. What the hell does no seconds mean? Like, you can only go in the barbed wire once? What?
No. So Suzuki has his stable, Suzuki going, and they constantly interfere. They're the most heelish faction in New Japan. Constantly interfere, constantly kind of ruin matches, both from a kayfabe storyline perspective and also from an aesthetic perspective.
Right.
Watching the matches. So this was great that this was just 101, and this match was a war. This was, I guess this ended up being my third favorite match of the night, but I thought this was great. I went 4.25 stars on this bad boy, and it starts out with an insane spot where Suzuki is on the second rope in the corner and chokes out Goto in the hanging position, and I'm still not quite sure if that was legit or not, because Goto goes completely limp.
Mm-hmm.
Suzuki drops him, and he just drops right to the mat, like complete dead weight. And
his eyes were rolled back in his head.
Yeah, the camera zooms in on his eyes, and his eyes are completely rolled back in the back of his head. So it's possible he told, and then the doctor like rushes in to check on him. So it's possible like they agreed beforehand that like Suzuki was going to legitimately choke him out. But it was a really brutal match.
Okay.
So if you can imagine, Chad or Scott,
mm-hmm.
like someone like Joe putting on a rear naked choke on someone, but standing on the rope, and so his feet were just hanging, not touching the mat.
Oh, fuck! Wow.
So it was
like he was just dangling there. It was nuts.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
And not holding onto the rope at all. He was just hanging. It was kind of gross. And Goto's face by the end of the match, from all the slaps and stuff, his eye was starting to swell shut. And
oh boy!
You just see his. You know, when you get chopped in the chest and the chest just turns to meat, his like right cheek looked like that.
Oof, gross. That always reminds me of, when I think of that, I think of the you both remember it. It was I forgot which Clash it was, but it was Flair defending the world title. I think it was a world title against Bobby Eaton, and I forgot which Clash it was. But he chops the shit out of him in that, and you know Bobby Eaton was pretty pasty, and I mean his chest looked like one half of Punk's Pepsi tattoo. I mean that's how red it looked. It was gross. The only reason I'm using Punk as an example is because he's on my screen right now. They had that awesome four-way. This is one I was curious to ask both you guys about. The four-way for the IWGP Junior Heavyweight title. Marty Scurll was your champion. It was him, Will Ospreay, Takahashi, and Kushida. And Will Ospreay won it. He is your new champion. How was this match, Chad?
This one's gonna be where I'm a little off from the norm. I liked it, but I didn't like it as much as seemingly everybody does. Meltzer actually just gave this 4 3/4 stars, which I think is nuts. I thought it was too spotty. It was definitely a spot fest car crash type match, but I thought the spots took a little too long to set up. Some stuff was a little too contrived, but you know, it's kind of one of those things like an old TLC match from the WWF pay-per-views where you really kind of have to watch and view for yourself. I'm also not that big of a Marty Scurll fan, so that derailed it a bit for me when he was in there. So overall, I liked it, but I didn't love it. But a lot of people have loved it, so I'm probably lower than the mean on that match.
Okay. Did you see it, Steve?
Yeah, the last couple of years they've usually done these four-way matches with the junior tags, but I guess you have more individual junior guys right now who are doing well, so you had to reward them. I kind of have to agree with you, Chad. It wasn't that kind of match is usually something I can really enjoy when you do spots, but also put some psychology into them. Mm-hmm. And there was just a little bit of psychology. You know, I went in thinking that might be that could sneak in as like my second favorite match of the night, but it kind of more. God, I hate to say this, but it was kind of closer to the Cody match than it was to the main two matches. And if you know me well, I am not a Cody Rhodes fan.
Wow. So Will Ospreay is your new IWGP Junior Heavyweight Champion. Now these next two matches I actually watched, so I can have a comment on. I can actually comment on them intelligently because I watched them when they re-aired it on Access. Hiroshi Tanahashi successfully defends his IWGP Intercontinental title. He beats Jay White. No idea who Jay White was. I know who Tanahashi is. I love his hair. I wish some guys in WWE would have hair like that.
I wish I had hair like that.
What's that?
I wish I had
I liked it. I thought it was a little sloppy at points, but I think maybe that's how the match was meant to be. I don't know. But it was entertaining, and I like Tanahashi anyway. So I gave it. I mean, if I was grading it, I'd probably give it 3.5. That's how much I liked it. What do you think, Chad?
Yeah, this one's kind of the one that most New Japan hardcore fans thought was a big blunder on the show. Because Jay White, I mean, a lot of people thought Jay White would come in and steamroll. He's got that new gimmick, the switchblade gimmick. Tanahashi's kind of, he's definitely on the decline of his career, but still is important. So him putting over Jay White should help catapult him. And Tanahashi winning was a baffling decision again for many. In the match overall, I thought White did look very nervous and tentative throughout the match. So yeah, I was around 3 stars. I thought the match was good, but kind of for the position it had on this card, I think it's fair to say it was certainly a disappointment.
Okay, what do you think, Steve?
I'm sorry. The moment, just the moment I felt was a little too big for Jay White. He's such a young guy. I think he's 25. So this was third from the top. It's kind of a big moment for him.
Yep, he is 25. You're right. Good call. What do you think,
and
Steve?
Jay really didn't wow me much in Ring of Honor either. Like, he had a kind of a feud with Jay Briscoe for a while. So I was also surprised, Chad, that they put him in a position like this when technically this is his first match since he was in New Japan since he was a young boy.
Right. And just to speak quickly on that, like I like Jay White, but I'm never watching him develop from the young boy to his excursion in Ring of Honor. I never got the impression that, this is going to be the next great wrestler. Now, to be fair, I never got that with Okada, too, when he was there. I mean, a little bit in New Japan right before he left, but certainly I didn't think he'd reach the heights he has. So they've proven me wrong before, but yeah, that's kind of where I'm at now, and I feel, after this performance, I feel kind of vindicated a little bit with that. So we'll see from here. I want him to succeed, but I just haven't seen it. I haven't seen him to be like the next great Gaijin that can really lead New Japan both break. Because they want to break through to Australia and that New Zealand area. They definitely want to grow there like they do in the U.S. And I think they see somebody like Jay White that, with Kenny Omega, he's not the youngest guy in the world anymore, and there's always a possibility that he won't be around for too long. They see somebody, I think, at Jay White that's, about a decade younger than Omega that can take up the mantle and could be like a career rival to somebody like Okada if needed. So we'll see.
So he's still the Intercontinental Champion. And, of course, the other big one, the no DQ match for the United States Heavyweight title. 34-36 was your runtime. And Kenny Omega defeated Chris Jericho. I got to be honest. I know I kind of downplayed it when we were talking in our chat about the match. Because I had said on the chat last week that I was watching it. And I got to be honest. If Kevin... Like, I would give it maybe 4. Maybe I'd push it to 4 1/4. But when I first watched it, I thought, this is like 3 3/4, maybe 3.5. I don't know. It felt like an Attitude Era match to me. But I think that's because in my head, listening to JR and Josh Barnett, it felt like an Attitude Era match. Wow, what's with all this trash wrestling around the fucking chairs being chucked? I didn't think, what is this? And I think that had I heard Kevin and Callis do it, I think I would have had a better opinion. I love JR. We all love JR, but let's be honest. This isn't 1998 anymore. And JR just doesn't connect like he used to.
No.
And Nate was saying that earlier in the show too. So I'm probably undergrading it because I just didn't like the way it came off on TV to me. But it didn't suck. It was fantastic. Maybe I would probably average out and say maybe 4 stars because it was good. I thought the last 8 minutes were fantastic, but I thought there was a lot of trash in the middle. But that's just my opinion. What do you think, Steve?
I really enjoyed it actually. The interplay with Don Callis, because Don Callis this whole time has been basically, I've heard the comparison, which I like to the Bobby Heenan to Ric Flair. Just totally pimping up Kenny Omega, and then him being torn at first because Jericho, also from Winnipeg, all 3 of them are. So
right.
It was fun seeing his concern, and he even got taken out at one point in the match as well. And it was fun seeing Jericho just as a complete dick heel. Swearing up a storm and beating up young boys and pushing down the referee and putting the referee's son in the lion tamer.
In the lion tamer, that was
kind
kind of cool. I have to admit, that was kind of cool.
And not the walls, the old school lion tamer.
Yeah, I mean, he was bending his neck pretty good. That was no joke. Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
And I have to give credit to Jericho too for being 46 years old and going out and doing that, and looking pretty good. So one of my underrated moments of that match was Omega's hair. It was like a combination of his hair and like a throwback to Jericho's 98, 99 hair puffed up, and he only threw a couple braids in there, and it's like, okay, this is a throwback to 90s wrestling. It's done on purpose, but you also have, kind of a blood feud, which you don't usually see too much in New Japan. I really enjoyed it. It exceeded my expectations.
Interesting.
And I don't watch the Access show anymore because of JR and Josh Barnett.
Now, is there a version of this match with Kevin and Callis?
Yeah, it's on New Japan World. Yeah, the Japanese commentary or the English commentary.
I may have to reserve judgment then, because I think I need to watch it with them then. Because I really look, I love JR. Nobody wants to shit on JR, but I think he's out of his realm now. My personal opinion. Now, Chad, you watched it live, obviously. So you watched it with Kevin and Don.
Yeah, with Callis, and I've seen it again in Japanese commentary.
Oh, okay. So you watched it. You watched other than the trash commentary.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's interesting because it's. What you say. I mean, it's different from the norm, from what a typical New Japan match looks like, and I think for like more seasoned viewers, that was welcoming. And it's kind of cool to hear from a novice perspective. This was what, you've only seen a handful of New Japan matches ever, Scott. So I think it was cool to hear from a novice perspective, because this was a match that they hoped would break through. And while for some people I could see like this type of match being like a comfort food type match, if you're used to WWE and welcoming. But I think for other people it may just be like, it's kind of like, you want to watch New Japan for an alternative, and this match kind of hit too close to home. You kind of understand what I'm saying?
No, that's exactly, because that's what I felt. That's what I felt after. Although we had some people making comments that they didn't even watch the whole match and had an opinion of it. But I that's exactly what I thought. I'm watching it and I'm like, I don't know. I feel like I'm watching, a match from like Fully Loaded 2000. I don't know. It didn't, right. But again, it wasn't terrible. Like the match isn't like a star. It's not trash. But I was expecting something different and didn't get it. But that's fine. But I think if I do watch it with Kevin and Callis, I think I may have a different opinion.
Yeah,
I will say that.
And now your expectations, you know what you're getting. I thought it was really good. It's in my handful of probably best Jericho matches, honestly.
Okay.
But, I love, the Triple H Jericho match at Fully Loaded 2002. So I'd have this, probably a scooch below that. I think I just watched that Fully Loaded match recently, too. Gave it 4.5. I gave this 4.25. Meltzer did give this 5 stars.
No.
Which was not shocking, but...
right. I wouldn't go that far.
Kind of weird to me. To me, that's kind of a weird rating. I just think if you're giving this 5 stars, then, are you giving something like Over the Edge 98 5 stars? Because if you're giving this 5 stars but not that, I don't quite understand.
No, I don't either. It's the same match.
So
it's almost the same match in essence, yeah. Yep.
Yeah, so that's kind of the one thing where some people goes both ways, New Japan bias versus WWE bias, blah, 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 but I just thought that was weird, but that's a argument for another day.
Yeah, so anyway, Kenny wins and retains his U.S. title. And finally, in the main event, Okada, and a lot of people, it seemed like, from what I've heard, was supposed to lose this match, but he does actually successfully defend the IWGP title. He beats Tetsuya Naito 36-30. It's another long one. First off, Chad, what did you think of the match, and were you surprised Okada won?
Yeah, so I've seen this one 2 times as well. First time I liked it, but I'll say this for these shows and watching them live. It's very tough to watch these shows live for me on the East Coast because they start at 2 a.m. So like I'm going to bed at 10. On this particular night, I had my son was sick, so he was up in the middle of the night. So I was up at midnight, and then I stayed up with him. I was holding him. So I watched the first part of the show, then fell asleep from like 4 to 6, and then caught the main event stuff. But because of that, it's like you're so winded and you're so just sort of out of it that watching a 36-minute match is not the best way to judge. So first time I watched it, I missed a good bit. I was pretty let down by the match overall. Because I did expect this match to be really good, and I just thought it was like, okay, that was good with a shocking finish. But then I rewatched it again and got a lot more on the second viewing with the network that Naito was doing overall, and then also just kind of his cardinal mistakes that he made in this match. So he's been doing this Tranquilo, Los Ingobernables type character for a couple of years now, but I think you saw in this match he kind of resorted back to a lot of his old character, and it looked like after he hit the Destino, which has sort of been his finisher in LIJ, he was going to try to go for his Stardust Press finishing, more high-risk flying move, and that was his cardinal mistake, which allowed Okada to hit the last Rainmaker to win. So I thought that was kind of a neat story that his cockiness got a little bit the better of him, and that, with Okada being the ace of promotion, that's something he's going to capitalize on. So this ended up being my match of the night. I would say probably a low-end match of the year candidate when the year is said and done, but I enjoyed this match a great deal, especially on the second viewing.
Okay. Steve, what do you think?
I thought, to actually echo what Chad said, I didn't watch it live. I watched those 2 main events, the last match you talked about and this one, on the evening of the 4th, kind of more in prime time. And the first few minutes of the match actually was a letdown after that big high of the end of the Omega Jericho match. So they were in a tough position. We knock WWE for putting that match on a lot of times. It used to be the women's match before the main event. But the crowd was kind of cool for that first few minutes. And it was kind of a typical New Japan Big Show main event. I've seen a lot of them over the last 3 years now, and you can kind of tell the pattern. But what's so great about them is you don't necessarily know where the finish is going. When you expect the crescendo to hit, there's still more. Mm-hmm. And so the shock of the ending was like, okay, well, how is he going to kick out of this? I think it was the 3rd Rainmaker at this point, because you assume that Naito is going to win. That's the way the story's been going. Except, Chad, you notice that, that little tip over and, the foreshadowing for the last show before this. But everywhere the story was going was Okada had this belt for so long. Everyone expected him to win, and I can kind of enjoy not being spoiled on a result, seeing that essentially live for me, and being surprised and being happy about it. Like, if people are complaining on Twitter, it was probably because they got their pick wrong. I'm okay with being surprised if it makes sense.
Okay. Anyway, I know we have something else to do, but I wanted to go over the show because it did happen last week, and since we are talking New Japan, I wanted to kind of get your guys' thoughts.
Yeah, and real quick too. So this seemed to be a pretty commercial success all around. They announced the attendance was way up. It was nearly 35,000 paid. You can see pictures, and going back to just a few, 7-8 years ago, it looked like there was probably about 15,000 people in the building. They seem to think there was around, between all the comp tickets and everything, there was around 40,000 in the building here for this show, and it was pretty packed. I mean, the stage setup takes a lot of seats, but it looked like it was pretty full to capacity, so that was big news. There was a pretty substantial bump in the New Japan subscriptions, New Japan World subscriptions, which can be attributed to Jericho. I think they said there was about 2,000 people from outside of Japan that they had tracked that had bought tickets and came to the show. So that's 2,000 people from outside the country that came in for this show, which is a nice number as well. So overall, this seemed like I thought it was a great show, kind of top to bottom, and a great show financially and commercially for New Japan as well.
According to Wiki, it was 43,000 total, 34,995 paid.
Right.
So
43,000. That seems I don't know. I mean, who knows? It's so tough with the Tokyo Dome because, like in the '90s, they would just say 65,000 super no vacancy. Like it was just absurd. You can't get 65. I mean, there's not 65,000 seats in that arena. So this did at least. I mean, they did some wide shots. Excuse me, and there's some photos that show that. Most of the seats that could be occupied were occupied. So this is almost a full capacity, whether that's 40,000, 43,000, whatever. That's about how many seats are in the Tokyo Dome for these types of shows.
And by the way, the Okada Naito match was a rematch. These two wrestled 2 years ago. 4 years ago. 4 years ago.
Yeah, 2014.
Yep.
Yes, so that was part of the storyline because Naito won the G1, and it was the same deal where you kind of cash in the briefcase on the Wrestle Kingdom show, and so him and Okada hypothetically would have been the main event, but this was before Naito had the Los Ingobernables character, and he wasn't getting the desired crowd reaction, so they actually put it up to a fan vote. It was whether they wanted Naito versus Okada for the IWGP Championship or Tanahashi versus Nakamura for the Intercontinental Championship to be the main event of that show, and the fans voted for Tanahashi Nakamura. So that played into the storyline. That's why most people thought Naito was winning here. It's kind of like the redemption arc of that.
Incidentally, Ibushi won the IWGP Junior Heavyweight title in 2014 from Mr. Devitt.
Yes.
And the full boat of the Bullet Club. All right. So there you go. There's a nice recap of Wrestle Kingdom 12 that came out of absolutely nowhere, which is what we love here at Main Event. All right. So now we'll do the reason we actually have you on. Chad's like, we just keep talking about this hard, please. Come on, Chad. We're going to open it for everyone's eyes. All right. So I've decided it was my turn to pick the New Japan Classic match pick. And I wanted to do something. I wasn't trying to be cute by any stretch, but I was fascinated at the difference in the way Japanese wrestling has evolved or changed in the almost 40 years that New Japan Pro Wrestling's been in existence. For those that don't know, New Japan Pro Wrestling was started by Antonio Inoki in 1972. After he broke off from the Japan Pro Wrestling Alliance promotion. Their first show was March 6th of 72. And, of course, they would go on and do their thing. Now, the big belt at the time... Now, at the time, I'm pretty sure, just based on how the belt looked when we watched the match, Antonio Inoki was the NWF heavyweight champion. That's what the main belt was called. Now, if you look at the belt, and I know you guys obviously did, the belt looked a lot like the 70s version of the World Wrestling Federation title, or the Worldwide Wrestling Federation title, as it would be. Because at the time of our match, which is December 15th, 1974, I'm pretty sure that 74, I think
that would have been, I think that would have been Bruno's second run.
Yeah, right, we're in the middle of Bruno's second run. Yeah, I think you're right. So... Anyway, the belt looks roughly the same. So Vince, I would think Vince Sr. probably had a little a hand in this because a lot of Japanese guys have come over. Obviously, the most common example that we've seen on the network is Fujinami in the late 70s, early 80s would bring the New Japan, or I guess it would be the World Wrestling Federation, light heavyweight belt or whatever. I guess that's what it was called at the time, or junior heavyweight belt. So anyway, Inoki's your champion. And the match that I picked, again, was from December 15th, 1974. Now, this match isn't even in Japan. It's in Sao Paulo, Brazil. So I even got us out of the country, which really pissed Chad off. No. And he took on Andre the Giant. Now, the reason I picked this match is because if you listen to the Place to Be podcast, we're in the middle of 1987. And as we know, Andre was not obviously in the best of shape in 1987. Even though at WrestleMania 3, he probably wrestled the biggest match of his life in helping put over Hulk Hogan and get the company, at the time, as the company. So I thought to myself, I kind of want to watch a match where Andre was legitimately in his prime and young. I mean, he was probably in his 20s, I would think, at that point. I mean, he was only, 40? What was he when he died? 45? And that was in 1993. So you figure that was 19 years earlier. So he was only like 26 at this point. And I was just curious to see, what kind of match Andre would wrestle in his prime. So that's kind of why I picked it. And I wanted something just different. I mean, again, our first match, Okada-Shibata, is not this. So I just wanted to see what Japanese wrestling at this point in the early 70s was like and how it evolved. Steve, do you have any any Inoki experience? Like, have you watched a lot of his matches?
Well, he trained me in the dojo back in '77.
And then he shaved your head.
He shaved my head, threw me in a pair of black tights, and made me humble.
And then he gave you the Jervis mask.
Yeah, very, very little outside a couple of the more famous matches. So, right. I know about his history, but I just haven't really watched much footage.
Okay. And I wanted to see him earlier in his career when he was obviously very mobile. Now, this match, it's funny. This match was kind of on some type of weird primetime show. At least if you watched it off the, well, I guess it depends where you watched it. I mean, I watched it off the World app, and it felt like a primetime wrestling. It was Inoki with some other schlub and then a host, around a little table. Honestly, Chad, how much Inoki have you been exposed to?
A good bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. So watched him. Good bit. Pretty much most of his big matches throughout his career that have made tape I've seen.
Okay. So, and Inoki was in pretty good shape. He wasn't as kind of gangly looking as he would be in the 80s. He was actually in pretty legit shape. And Andre actually wasn't in bad shape. I would say probably at this point he probably weighed, I don't know. I don't even think he was 400 pounds at that point. Maybe he was 390 or 380. He didn't look like he was 400 pounds. He probably was, but he didn't look like he was 400 pounds. I would say he was probably 385, 390. And I think I don't know the exact length of the match. It was probably 20, 22 or 23 minutes. And it ended in a double countout. So Inoki kept the belt. Steve, what did you get out of the match, and what about the match surprised you? I thought Andre was very mobile. I thought that they did a lot of the mat-based stuff surprised me. And I thought it was paced well. I didn't think it was that slow and messy as I thought maybe it was going to be. I don't know. What did you get out of the match when it finished? When you finished watching it, what did you take out of it? We can go from there.
First of all, Inoki, I thought was he's absolutely ripped, this old school badass,
that Lou Thez
ripped,
look, like Lou Thez shredded kind of thing. Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah, hitting the iron in the gym. He looked fantastic. I was I didn't really care for, you think if he was owning the company, this is going to be my total rip on Antonio Inoki moment here, and then I'll, you think if he was owning the company that had, specialized in work rate, and also you're trying to pop a crowd and make money, you wouldn't lay on the goddamn mat for half the match and like kick at somebody. And I remember at one point I'm just like, oh my God, Andre, just lay on him. Just lay on him and squish him like a bug. But overall it wasn't, Chad was kind of not moaning, but he was ruining watching this match, and it wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be based on that. I did like seeing Andre more in his prime. I've seen some of his later 70s work, and I was impressed, and maybe it just is just a knock on Inoki. Andre looked like he had better balance than Inoki did. He looked lighter on his feet. Mm-hmm. And Inoki kind of just stumbled around a little bit. There's like a massively failed attempt at a bow and arrow, which I don't know why you would choose to.
I caught that too. Let me bring
giant
that.
Yeah,
let me stop you for a minute on that one. At one point, he is trying to do something, and I watched it with Greeny. We were both like, you could see him trying to bow up and do it, and at one point, I feel like it's like he gave up on that.
No chance.
You thought he wanted to, but I mean, again, Andre was not 500 pounds, but obviously he was not a tiny guy, so I don't know why he attempted to do that. Maybe it was just Inoki's typical ego, but
even height-wise, it doesn't work, though.
No. he was too long. Andre's just too long.
Yeah, we were talking about Jericho earlier on, and that was one of the reasons why he went away from the Lion Tamer to the Boston Crab, was because the people were too tall in the WWF to put it on. He wasn't working cruiserweights anymore.
Right, exactly.
So, yeah, it was very, very odd.
Mm. Yeah, I thought that was kind of funny too. I mean, hey, I applaud his attempt to, but I don't know what made him think that was gonna work. I don't know. Very strange. What do you think of the ending, the Schmaz ending? I kind of had a feeling, just based on the two of them, that it was going to end in a shit show. Like, I couldn't see one job into the other. You know what I mean? So it didn't surprise me.
I went in with an open mind to it, and at first I was disappointed, and then I thought about it. I'm like, well, of course. It's like, it's his house. Andre's coming in as the touring attraction. Of course, you're not going to put him over the leader of the company, pretty much. So it wasn't a surprise. It was a little disappointing.
Yeah, and again, similar to what we were saying now about them trying to make waves in other parts of the world. In this instance, obviously they were in South America, so they were probably trying to get a foothold in Brazil. I don't think any, except for the 5 years later, the greatest intercontinental title tournament of all time took place in Brazil. But other than that,
I forgot that. Like, I'm glad you said that, because I forgot that it was in Brazil as well. So It really was just an exhibition.
It was really an exhibition. I couldn't tell you the exact match length. It was the clip on the app was like 28:50, and that includes all the bullshit on either end. So the match as a whole was probably like 19 minutes or 20 minutes probably. All right, Chad. Before you trash the shit out of it, going in, all right, let me ask you this then. I'll clean the slate for you. Going in, what were your expectations?
Expectations were not very high. Just because, like I said, I've seen a lot of Inoki. I don't think I'd ever seen this match before. I didn't remember if I had, so there was that, but I had seen some Inoki with, a lot of Inoki with Backlund, a lot of Inoki with Stan Hansen, so
right.
That's somebody kind of working a bigger opponent, so I kind of had an expectation of what to expect.
Okay. I went in, again, thinking it was going to be very mat-based. There were actually some good moves, and again, the bow and arrow attempt was nice, but I can imagine, and it's funny, Chad, this is how much respect I have for you as a wrestling fan. I actually am watching this going, I don't know if Chad's going to like this or not. and I knew you went in with a, the bar being very low. And I said, you know what? I think there's going to be spots of this that he's not going to hate. Again, I applauded Inoki for trying the bow and arrow, but I thought I thought he kind of went over his head a little bit there. What'd you think of Andre's performance?
I see. So I'll just say, like, my overall thoughts. This match probably exceeded my expectations. I thought it was a good match. I'll go ahead and give my star rating. It's a snarky star rating. It's 2 3/4 stars. But now, but Andre, I thought, gave a really good performance. I like Andre pretty much anywhere except in the WWF from when he starts making tape till really when I like him in the WWF more late, Andre. I think a lot of times, like in the Titans area, Andre phoned it in.
Right.
In the WWF big time.
Yep.
But outside of that, I've found him to be a lot of fun elsewhere, and actually has some classics. I thought he gave a pretty good performance here. He takes a bump over the ropes from a drop kick, which I thought was excellent. The way he kind of got some height and just kind of was elevating himself over the ropes. It was a really great bump. I thought his strikes looked really good. He looked kind of menacing and stalking throughout the match. You could get a good size contrast where even like Andre hunched over, he just felt like he kind of engulfed Inoki and especially the referee when he would get in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
So you had a really good kind of picture painted of Andre's stature. And he used his strikes. He was stepping on him. So using his big giant offense, I thought he was doing that really well. Where the match struggle for me again was, Inoki on the mat. Andre at one point locks in a hammerlock that doesn't really go anywhere. And then the finish, which I'll say for that finish, like the count-out finish, that was not a shock at all. I'd say most major Japanese matches before 1986 for both All Japan and New Japan have double. I mean, there's just so many double count-out finishes, or just like, 15 minutes of great matches, of great action, and then they just spill to the outside, and that's it. And they walk to the back, and it's like, what happened here?
Right.
It's like we're a great finish away from a match of the year candidate, and y'all just kind of took your ball and went home. So that was not a surprise at all that this match ended like that. The match being in Brazil, I wonder, is interesting because Inoki with his shoot style interest. I wonder if he was cognitive and aware of like Helio Gracie at this point in time, because this is 1974, so that was something I was wondering about while watching this, and whether he did make the jump, why they were in Brazil, and he thought he could have a foothold there. And then just some background, I did some research. So this was Andre's second tour of New Japan overall. So he was in Japan a couple of weeks and did the full tour, and then I guess took the trip over with them to Brazil. And then his next match in the States is for Championship Wrestling from Florida.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
But really, I thought it was a good performance for him. But that was kind of part of the course for Andre at this time period, where he was more spry and athletic. When he wanted to, he could be a great worker.
Yeah, I agree. And I think obviously he probably got paid well. And again, being outside of Japan, they probably needed they probably wanted to come off with a good performance to promote in South America. So, all right, well, I'm glad that not everybody totally hates my guts now after that, because at least I hope everybody got something out of it. So there's your again, look it up. It's all over. I'm sure it's on YouTube, but it's on the New Japan app as well, the NJPW World. It is Nate's turn to pick match number 3, which we'll have in a month, and he will make that announcement in 2 weeks. Guys, thank you. This was a lot of fun. I love having you guys on to talk New Japan, because you're educating me, and I appreciate it truly. But Steve's going to hate me when we're back in 2 weeks, because we're going right. We're even Inoki and Andre is going to be better than whatever we talk about. Well, to a certain extent. We'll be back in 2 weeks for our next episode of the main event. We will it'll be the fortnight or close to it, of the Royal Rumble. So we'll do a full-blown Royal Rumble and NXT TakeOver preview in Philadelphia. And then our next, that week will be our next TNA pay-per-view recap, the second ever TNA pay-per-view from June 26th, 2002. There's good news and bad on this show. Steve, you're definitely going to join us. Chad, you can if you'd like as well. Aaron George will be joining us, of course, with me. And Cheeks actually makes a legitimate appearance on that show. However, on a serious note, we will be crowning our inaugural X Division champion on that show. So we know we're going to get something good out of that. And we will see what happens with our current NWA TNA champion, Ken Shamrock, and who his first actual feud will be against, too. So that'll be in 2 weeks when we have our next TNA Classic pay-per-view recap and the Royal Rumble. For Nate Milton, the Godfather, for Chad Campbell, for Steve Wille, I'm Scott Criscola. You've been in the main event. Glad Chad's still talking to me, because I guarantee you Nate will probably come up with an awesome match in 1 month. But we'll see you in 2 weeks.